Welcome to the American Warrior Festival podcast, a celebration of our troops, veterans, and American way of life. I'm your host, Dan Clor. Hello, American Warrior Festival family. I am your host, Dan Clor. And today we have a very special episode here for episode 4. We are going to be going through our American Warrior Festival State of the Union. And we have a special guest here today. We're going to bring him out from behind the shadows. Our producer extraordinaire, Mr. Don T. Pena. Hey, Don, come out and tell the people, say hello. Tell them who you are.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the American Warrior Festival podcast. We're glad that you guys are enjoying it. We're doing our best to give you guys a great product, and I'm happy to join my buddy Dan here to give you guys some info on just pretty much what's going on in the state of our American Warrior Festival podcast.
Yeah, we have a lot of exciting things going on here. I just want to, first off, I want to just tell everyone that Don's been doing an amazing job with this podcast, putting in a ton of hours behind the scenes to make us sound good here. You know, the guy's staying up, putting in a lot of hours late into the night. So let's give him a round of applause for that, Don. Good job, man.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
It's all for the cause. We're just trying to, everybody's trying to do our part, trying to make it entertaining for everybody. Talk a little crap along the way. But
of course. That's natural. So let's kick it off. What's the first thing on the docket here, Don, for our State of the Union?
Well, I think we got, I guess what's up going on with the live events and concerts, etc. What do we got going on there?
Okay, well, we just got some news. Unfortunate news overall. As many of you know from the last episode, we put a note that the American Warrior Festival was not going to be able to be present at the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash down in Gettysburg, which was going to run from July 24th to 26th. Now, we just saw yesterday in a post that the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash as a whole is being canceled. So we're sorry to hear that. They're good people over there with that event. Times are tough. Things are spiking again there. And I think with the local Pennsylvania government, they figured and decided that it's not the best idea. With the hotel, the Wyndham, they're working with them. So I think collectively they just decided that it's really not worth going through all of that with the COVID cases spiking and whatnot.
Things are getting canceled all the time. And it's just like right when we think, okay, cool, we're going to have this event, we're going to have this. And like, not just us, but I think, across the country, and all of a sudden it just gets pulled out from under you. It's crazy right now.
Yeah, that's true. And that's the challenging thing, too. Like, the game has changed with live events right now. They can almost be not just week to week, but almost day to day. Don? Like, it's...
Oh, yeah. The second wave coming, or it's really throwing everybody like even more so for a loop than it was before.
Right. So all we can really do at this point is stay the course, and like we said in episode 1, constantly adapt and overcome to the situations at hand. So we are going to aim to do our own thing in Gettysburg in 2021, 2022 latest. We are going to do the American Warrior Festival Gettysburg, and we're going to do it upright. So, just stay tuned for that, because that is the first step in our Battlefield concert series, which also includes Pearl Harbor, Normandy, and more to come later. So that's what's going on in Gettysburg. Now, out here in our neck of the woods in New York, in Western New York specifically, we do have right now the August 15th American Warrior Festival, which originally had Weapon X slated to play, our first Western New York show since 2017. I spoke with the Montage Music Hall, my good buddy, owner Randy Peck, about that event, and that one is still on as of now, but we do have some restrictions to report that the New York State government has passed down. The Montage Music Hall normally averages 300 people capacity. That's the capacity there. That has been cut down to 100, so that is substantial. Face masks will be required to be worn by all patrons, and including the musicians minus the vocalist. Now, mean, obviously, yeah, right.
Unless you're Corey Taylor of Slipknot.
I was gonna say, yeah,
There's
right.
a handful of bands that can pull off the face mask. Clor, Slipknot, Mudvayne, but I think every other genre, I don't really think they use face masks.
Yeah, that's a good point, man. If you're Guar and you're Odorous Among Us, well, I think he might have passed away, didn't he? Rest in peace if he did.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
But whoever else is fronting Guar, and God forbid if you're one of those people in the first 20 rows, because I think you know what happens at a Guar concert.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to get painted.
Exactly.
So, but anyway, yeah. So,
but it's funny though. Even for regular musicians, like the instrumentalists, like even if they're not singing, that's still, being on stage and performing, trying to breathe when you're trying to put everything out there, that's still going to be a challenge for every musician. So it's definitely going to be, like we said, it's going to be a challenge. But everybody who steps up and is able to get through it, I will commend them for it.
Yeah. I mean, in bands, bands have different views about that. There's bands that kind of are in the boat where they're like, hey, this is what it is. Let's pound through. Let's go. And there's other bands that are just like, this isn't really my thing. I don't want to compromise the performance, or I don't want to wear a mask. It's just something I don't want to do. Not only the mask situation, but also what's going to happen with the crowd. And I guess we can wait to get on that for a bit. So, I mean, I can see a band's point of view on both ends. Everyone has to make their own decision, but I'm with you. I do commend the bands that are going to go through anyways and make it happen. And I don't hold anything against the bands that don't. So I understand both camps.
Exactly. And at this point, we're not even sure that we will get the event. August 15th seems a bit away given the circumstances. In a normal situation, it'd be like, oh, it's only a month and a half away or whatever, but given the way things are rolling right now, like with everything, the day-to-day changes, I mean, it's just really hard to say.
That's true too. And let's talk about, we're just thinking about show day. Think about, the bands maybe knowing that the shows are up in the air, and maybe they have busy schedules or things are kind of compromised on their end, and they're having a hard time getting together for rehearsal. So you got to factor that in as well. So
no, absolutely.
Now, getting back to some other restrictions for the venue, the Montage on August 15th, there will be, instead of standing up in, the usual pit situation or, shoulder to shoulder, sweating there next to your fellow metalhead, there is going to be seating. And I'd imagine, seating is 6 feet apart. You can go up and get a beer, come back to your chair and drink your beer somehow around your mask. I know that's not very metal, but it's a sign of the times. And what are we going to do, right, Don? I mean, what options do we have there?
I mean, I look at it this way. If we're able to have an event, that means that we're in a environment that's good enough to have an event. Like that means that all protocols in that city or state have been, there's not that many cases that if they feel that people are able to have events and have any kind of outdoor activity, then that's a good thing. It's a lot worse when you think, well, the spread is too high right now, the cases are too high, we just can't have any events. Then we know exactly, where we're at. It's like, damn, that just sucks. So the fact that if we're able to even have the event, it is a good sign. It's a good thing. So anything else that comes along with it, it's just like we've been saying, we would just adapt and overcome to it and be happy that we can even have an event. So,
and I think that's the way to look at it. A positive mindset there. Some kind of normalcy where something's kept on the calendar and the event happens, right? I mean, just that alone right there is a win. And I think is just as society and human beings here, we have to think positive. We have to keep pushing through. We have to keep fighting for what we want and where we want to head. We just have to stay the course, really, when it comes down to it.
Exactly.
And there's one big thing here too that we are waiting on. We did, this concert is so a big, huge part of it is our partnership with the Warrior Brotherhood MC out of New York. We had Tom Everett's on episode 3. We did want to give the Veteran Motorcycle Club the information on what they would be working with the restrictions, and kind of let them put the ball in their court and decide if that's something that they want to go through with. I think it looks fairly positive. I think they're kind of thinking of things the same way as we are, where, hey, we could still raise money for our organizations. We could still get a ride. We could still have some music. Hey, let's think positive and put it all together. I feel that we have a good chance that they're going to come back and say, yeah, let's do it. But either way, we'll work with whatever decision they give us. So stay tuned for that, everyone, because that's something that's that we have our eye on closely. So, Don, do you have anything on that, or do you want to move right on to Texas?
No, I think we move right on Texas. I was just going to say, any changes and any kind of updates, we'll definitely be letting people know, through whether it's through YouTube or our Facebook, obviously our website accounts. So definitely keep everybody updated as we learn things.
Yes, definitely. We'll be keeping people updated on all the happenings and all the news coming in real time as close as possible. So, getting into Texas now, we have an interesting situation there. Those dates are slated for Friday, September 25th in the Austin-Pflugerville area, and Saturday, September 26th in San Antonio. Now, both of those shows are pretty much booked up entertainment-wise and band-wise. I think we're at 80% of the roster is filled for the night in each location. But we just got word from the owners of the two venues, which is Hanover's in Pflugerville, which is, like I said, the Austin area, and Fitzgerald's in San Antonio. Unfortunately, due to the cases popping up in Texas, the local Texas state government has required all venues to close down again. So Hanover's and Fitzgerald's, I believe, were both open for just around a month or a little over a month, kind of got things going again. And then in a heartbreaking situation, they had to close their doors again for the time being. So at this point, we're just supporting, Eddie and Sharon, the owners of those two awesome establishments. They've been great to us for the past couple years. So we're just kind of in the boat with them and there to support them and stay tuned for what's to come in Texas.
Yeah, absolutely. Just another example of how things can change so rapidly.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. You never know what's going to happen day to day. So, yeah, it's just kind of more standby for more news there. And then our Veterans Day shows that are slated to be in November in Los Angeles are just currently on hold right now. They're not booked with a venue yet. That's really challenging to kind of do that in November at this point, with all the news going on and the situation in California. Don, do you have any local California news? Don's out in California. I'm in New York. So any local California news would be cool to pass on.
Yeah, absolutely. As of this Friday, I believe they're going pretty much back to shutdown. We just reopened about the same amount of time, about 2-3 weeks ago. They started to kind of reopen businesses and started to kind of loosen things up, and then cases flared up again pretty badly, and so now I believe up this coming Friday, they're going back to shutting pretty much everything down again, like closing bars, closing restaurants, only outside delivery. So it's kind of like Texas. I mean, pretty much the same thing that some of the other states are going through. They're just like, things are kind of flaring up again, and we got to go back to curfews and all that crazy stuff. So yeah, unfortunately, not good news.
Right. And at this point, too, what can we really say, right? And we also understand it's really not the platform for this. We understand that our country and a lot of people have different views about what's going on here, and we understand that. We're simply delivering the news and what we have to work with venues and state governments, right, Don? I mean, we're pretty much at the mercy of what goes on with the decisions by government and what they kind of put out there for the local businesses, and that affects us as promoters.
Exactly. I mean, and it affects everybody, and we're, like you said, we're just trying to navigate through these waters to do what we can when we can to bring you guys the entertainment and the fun which is what American Warrior Festival have always been about, is celebrating our troops and bringing the best entertainment that we possibly can to you guys. So, and navigating through these waters is definitely challenging, like it is for everybody else. So, our job is to just tell you guys what we can do, what we're trying to do, what we're planning to do, and then whatever changes happens, we just roll with those punches.
Definitely. Well said, man. We just roll with it and keep going. Keep putting one foot in front of the other. So we're going to stay on the topic of events, but we're going to do a little bit of a twist here with getting into our firing range outings. Now, what we have on the docket there is I just spoke with the GM of the Firing Pin in Bergen, New York, one of our longtime sponsors, and Josh and Patrick over there, and Brandon, the owner, obviously. Our event with the Firing Pin right now is on hold. They really can't do anything event-wise where they have a massive amount of people or a good amount of people there. They kind of have their own restrictions as well in the firearms store realm, but it's kind of the same situation there. We can't have people grouped together just like at a live concert. So we're just really working on building a program with them and getting everything in order. And as soon as we are able to release and have our firing range day, which will be a good day out on the range with some live music and food trucks, and people food can trucks. Go learn. What's that, buddy?
Food trucks.
Food trucks, yeah.
Can't go wrong with live music, food trucks, and some range time at it. Come on.
I mean, is that not the trifecta right there? I mean, what a day. Something for everybody. So we'll do something with them. Obviously, so we'll get that event back on the calendar as soon as we can. If it goes into 2021, we'll make the best of it. So just stand by. In other good news, our sales rep extraordinaire, Daniel, want to give him a plug. Daniel Andriacci. This guy's doing a great job. We actually got news that we're planting some seeds with some local firearms stores and ranges there in Nashville. And as you know, we went to Nashville for the first time last year and were well received. I mean, it's a music town. Tennessee is a military state. Kind of all makes sense for us. It's two of our pillars. So, stay tuned for the locations and the businesses that we are going to be working with. We're basically planting the seeds. And like Don was saying, more live music, range time, food trucks, and great times. So, Nashville, Don, what do you think?
Oh, yeah. Just the three big towns for music and entertainment has always been New York, Los Angeles, and of course Nashville. So definitely a great place to get into and be a part of. So that'll be exciting when we get there.
And all American Warrior strongholds, baby. We're represented well in each. So it's by design. It's also just by opportunity and what opportunities have arisen for us. And I mean, as everyone knows, American Warrior was officially born in Los Angeles. 2012.
Is that a bit of a correlation between like the triangle offense of Phil Jackson there, the Chicago Bulls and Lakers?
Yeah, you know what?
Is that how that came about?
I like that reference. Well, I'm into Sun Tzu and Zen. All that mind power and
so is Phil.
It is Phil. I mean, who doesn't love Phil Jackson's approach to the game and getting all those great components to work cohesively as one solid machine? And I like to say that we're in that blueprint or aiming to be in that realm. What do you think, Don?
Yeah, using that triangle offense, man. Just cornering the countries, L.A., New York, Nashville, man. It worked for Phil Jackson. It'll work for us.
I like where your head's at. I'm tracking with you, brother. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Right.
So,
well, hell, now so we're on the topic of sports. Why don't you tell everybody what we got going on for American Warrior Festival? Its events, games. You spoke about the Raiders, the Yankees, the LA Kings in the last few episodes, so let them know.
All right, yeah, let's get into the sports world here. As most of you already know, and you will learn, American Warrior Festival is building programs and events with the Raiders, Yankees, and LA Kings. And we're also looking to get into the MMA events and all that good stuff. So we have received word from our teams here. Let's start with the Yankees since we're in baseball season right now, or it's going to be kicking off soon. Don, I believe it's next week baseball will be starting with televised games with, no surprise, there won't be any fans in the stadiums. But we reached out to the Yankees and said, what are we going to do here about our luxury suites that we have booked for our American Warrior and Strength in Numbers events? And we came to the conclusion that the best case scenario is just to extend all of our resources into 2021 and, just pick up where we left off next year. Obviously, we'll be developing and building our systems and our plans for our programs with the Yankees, Raiders, and Kings. But we'll be watching from home and rooting on the Yankees here. And we'll be excited to come back strong in 2021. So that's what's going on with the Major League Baseball situation. I mean, we had 5 games this year. We had 4 at Yankee Stadium. And then, Don, as you know, we had the one May 30th in Anaheim, which was the Yankees and Angels. And we talked to the Angels, and they did the same thing. They credited us for 2021, and we did say that it's going to be the Yankees and Angels series next year in Anaheim. So, baseball, just like all the sports, is doing what they can, Don, to get going and keep moving themselves.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, and baseball's such a long season. I mean, I know they took a big hit.
Oh, yeah. They basically lost 100 regular season games because baseball's a 162-game season, and I believe they have 60 regular season games. So, yeah, I mean, they had to chop 100 games off of their season, right? So
that's wild.
It is, man, and there's already bets on which teams may not even get into double-digit wins, that's sad for any team. I don't personally wish that on any team because that's tough. But there are a few teams. I'm not going to say any names, but there are a few out there that might fall into that category. We know the Yankees are probably going to win the division and the World Series, but as far as who's on the other side of the column, we'll leave that to Pachotti's Orioles.
No, it was funny. I heard, and I don't know how true this is, but I heard a rumor. I know we don't have an NBA program yet with American Warrior Festival, but I heard, and I don't know how true this is, that the NBA were doing something like with their season. They're starting, but they were thinking of only picking the playoff teams of the league, and they were going to have a season with them, and they pretty much told basically all the sucky teams, like, yeah, you guys just stay home, don't worry about it. We're basically only going to run with the teams that won last year and have a shortened season with those teams. Like, how wild is that? Like, can you imagine being like the shitty team that doesn't get to even have a season because your league is like, no, you guys sucked last year, just stay home.
Oh yeah. And we'll get into hockey too because we can talk about their arrangement as well. But are you talking about not even the playoffs of wrapping up last year? They're talking about next year only the playoffs teams get to play.
Yeah. Like, again, I don't know how true that is. That's a rumor I heard.
Oh man, that would be brutal.
Looking up on it. I know. I'm like, God. I'm like, are they serious about actually doing that? Like, that's just hard, man.
That's. I mean, I understand because let's get into. Well, we'll go into that when we talk about hockey, but we'll go on to football next here. Now with the Raiders, we're really waiting on word there to see what's going to go on with the season in general and with fans in the stands. So we're just kind of standing by for that. Now, Don, I know the NFL is something you watch and pay attention to very closely. So why don't you give our listeners just some basics on what you're hearing about the NFL and what we can expect and just kind of any updates that you could pass on.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, first and foremost, there's not a lot of concrete decisions that the NFL has came out and officially said. A lot of rumor, a lot of kind of up in the air information, but we do know a few things. And one of the main things is some of you might have known if you're an NFL fan. The first cancellation was the Hall of Fame game. We usually get the Hall of Fame game right before preseason, like that. It's basically the first preseason game. A week before week 1 of preseason is the Hall of Fame game. That's been canceled. They completely got rid of that. They've actually cut 2 preseason games out. So 2 preseason games are out. And the weird thing about that is it's not the first 2 games or last 2 games. It's actually week 1 preseason and week 4 preseason. Now,
That's
the reason they did... Yeah, I thought it was funny too, but they actually have a pretty good logical reason. They figured the reason why they cut week 1 was because they wanted to give NFL teams and players more time in training camp because of the situation. So they wanted to give them more time to prepare, more time to be physically ready and all that. So they cut week 1. Then they cut week 4 because they literally said it's basically useless. They're like none of the starters play, like, you know. And so I thought that was kind of funny from the NFL that they were like, yeah, it's pretty much the most useless game of the preseason, so we cut that one. Now I'm sure the practice squad guys and the undrafted free agents would have a different opinion about that, but
sure thing, yeah, because that last week is. How many times you've seen someone return an 80-yard punt and it's the thing that pushes it over the edge and puts them on the team, you know? Like,
oh yeah, man. Getting those last couple of spots on that 53-man or even just the practice squad, like, you know, those guys wait for that game. So that's harsh. But yeah, so we're getting week 2 of preseason and week 3. That's going to happen. I believe most, if not all, NFL teams in their stadiums, they're going to tarp off the top 6 to 8 rows of seats if they're going to have it, because even that, so they're still not 100% sure that they're going to have fans yet. They haven't made a decision one way or the other. They're leaning towards having a limited amount of fans. They're trying to do as much as they can with protocol, and they're trying to decide with medical experts the best course to try to make that happen, whether it's through testing, like everybody coming in the door. They're thinking about possibly making fans who do attend sign waivers. You know, but again, one of the things they are saying that they're going to do no matter what is tarp off the top 6 to 8 rows of every stadium. So even then, it'll be a limited amount of fans. You know, so again, all of this, though, is still up in the air. These are just ideas that the NFL is talking about. No one's actually said, this is going to happen. However, the NFL is optimistic about having the season. Week 1 regular season is still on schedule to happen. They have not canceled that. They're saying it's going to happen. Many believe that the NFL will go through with the schedule almost no matter what, simply because the money and all that. So that's a lot of the belief in the NFL Sports Center, NFL Network. I mean, it is tough. It's really tough to say, you know, because the NFL hasn't came out and really officially made an announcement. Players have been pretty quiet about it, but they're all optimistic and they're still training. So now one of the newest things we heard this week was 2,800 players were tested. Out of that 2,800, 72 players tested positive for the coronavirus. So that's 2.5% of the players, which kind of sucks for us because everybody was like, yeah, we're looking good. We're going to get a season. And then we have a report like that come out, which everybody's kind of backtracking. They don't know what they're, you know, it makes it look like we're maybe not going to have a season. So, but again, the NFL has not made anything official. They're still saying they still have week 1 on the schedule. So, at least from that standpoint, it's looking good that they're optimistic about it.
And they're in the same boat as pretty much everyone else, right? I mean, they're waiting for news to come out. What the government and the state government and the federal government will allow them to do. You know, they're a private business, right? Or exactly. Yeah, NFL's a private business, so
yeah, absolutely.
They're trying to do business as usual. You know, we obviously understand everyone's trying to live life as regular as they can and have their day-to-day things happen. But they're kind of just waiting word as well, and I think probably taking it one day and week at a time. But they have to keep the schedule going and plan as if there's going to be a game, right? I mean, that's really what they have to do as professionals.
And that's what they're doing. I mean, week 1 is still on the schedule. Houston, Texas versus Kansas City. My Chiefs. Week 1 is still on the schedule. Now, a couple of things that they're doing as far as protocol, like they're testing. They're talking right now about testing every single day. Not only players, but staff, coaches, trainers, anybody who comes in that facility. They want to do testing every single day, and then if things are looking okay, they want to spread it to at least once a week. That's one of the protocols. Another protocol is rearranging locker rooms to fit social distancing. So I would assume they'd have every player 6 feet away, away from each other in their locker. Which I don't know how you do that in the locker room, but that the NFL is going to try to figure that out. Now here's a really cool thing that I found out and I thought was kind of interesting. The sunglass company Oakley are working with the NFL and the NFLPA and medical experts to create a new style helmet that has a visor and a mouth shield that comes down over under the guard, under the rail, but behind it, and then it's like a mouth guard. So almost like the way we wear masks out in public, we wear our little medical masks. They're trying to develop this kind of screen that covers the mouth of the players in the helmet. So that's interesting. That's pretty interesting.
Oh, that is cool. That's really neat.
Now, they're already saying now there's been players that are opposed to it, some players that are out, open to it. But I can see how it can cause a problem because if you've ever worn sunglasses while wearing your mask, it fogs up really quickly, Yeah. So that's a concern with some players that they're like, when you have a visor, since there's nothing on the bottom of your nose or your mouth when you breathe, the air just goes through it, so the visor doesn't get fogged up. In this case, there would be that shield there, so now you're breathing, and it might fog up your visor, and now you can't see, and that could be potentially dangerous. So they're looking at that, they're trying it, and if it works, they're going to go with it. If it's not, then But I thought it was interesting. I'm like, wow, that's a pretty innovative way to try to do things. So we'll see what happens if they can make it work. If they can make it where the players can see and it doesn't mess up visibility, then that's kind of a cool thing that Oakley's trying to do.
Yeah, that'll be really interesting to see how that plays out. All of the innovation that's going on with the equipment companies, and just companies being innovating, having to innovate with the way they do day-to-day business, with everyone working remotely now. I think, as things kind of subside here, I think companies are going to have a bunch of new ways to run things, like how much office space are they going to keep after seeing that they might even have more success when some of their workers are working remotely, That's been a topic I've talked with some local or with some employees about. Hey, I've been more productive working from home, and since this pandemic hit, we've tried things differently. And obviously, talking about Oakley, it's more equipment and inventing different kinds of gear to get through the situation. But I think there's a lot of creation and innovation going on during this time.
Oh, absolutely. And if there anybody in the NFL is listening, man, look, I got a great idea for how you guys can have the season and have fans, man. I've been saying this for weeks. All right, check it out. Here's my idea.
Oh boy. Get out your pen and paper.
Dan knows. Oh yeah, NFL, if you're listening, all right, I'll take 2%, all right. Dan knows we talked about in the past about possibly getting into virtual reality, and there's companies like the Oculus Rift and Google Google VR, right, or Samsung VR. Now imagine if you walked up to a stadium. So you're not gonna have fans in the stadium, but imagine if you bought a ticket to an NFL game. You walk up, you get your ticket, and the NFL person or ticket person hands you a visor, one of those headsets. And you go back to your car where you park, because people tailgate, so there's always room back there, right? You got your parking spaces that you pay for. You take your headset with all you and your family, everybody has one. You go back, you put that on, and you watch the game virtually from the parking lot, from the safety of your car. You're away from other fans, and they get to sell tickets, and they get to sell beer. They could have concession people going through the parking lot selling beer like if it was inside the stadium, which they do anyway at some stadiums. And problem solved. They could do a virtual game with virtual fans that are in the parking lot, socially distancing away from each other. They get to sell tickets, and the fans get to see the game pretty much live through a virtual reality kind of, a live, screen on their Oculus Rift or Samsung Gear VR helmet. That's just one. That's one idea. I don't know how expensive that would be, but I think that would be crazy and awesome.
Well, in virtual reality, man, it's just, we've talked about all the things that are coming down the pipe
Well,
with that.
let-
It's
let me clarify that though. Like when I say virtual reality, that's just a technology. The game itself will not be virtual reality. You'll actually see it like if you're watching TV. It'll just be in your virtual reality headset. So it's not like the players are like cartoon graphics. They're not like it's like you're literally looking at the players, but it's like they call it like 360 technology. So you can be staring at a screen when you put a VR headset on and you're looking at a real-time video. You can turn your head and you can see what's next to you, and you can turn the other way and you can see what's next. And it's not, it's the actual footage of the game. It's insane. The technology is crazy. So it would make the fans feel like they're actually sitting in their seat because they can look back and forth and up and down and see the entire stadium, but they're actually in their car.
wow.
So it's wild, man.
That is pretty wild, man.
And they do it.
It's
They have
exciting to
done
see
it. Like,
what's going to happen with that in the future with live concerts and sports and everything else event driven.
Yeah,
so
NFL, if you're listening, man, get on the virtual reality. Like I said, I'll only take 2% of the idea.
nice, man. It's a great deal. So let's finish up with our LA Kings here in the NHL. They actually have an interesting situation going on. Unfortunately, the Kings did not make the playoffs this year, so they will be staying home. But there is an exhibition schedule that is slated to start on July 28th and is going to run just until July 30th. And then the playoffs are set to kick off on August 1st. So what they basically did was they had a system to, I'm not sure what the protocol was, but they had the points in each division, and they selected the teams that are going to be in the playoffs, and now they're finishing up the 2019-2020 season. They're aiming to finish it starting August 1st is when the playoffs are officially going to kick off. So that's going to be interesting. And then I haven't heard too much yet about what's going to happen with the 2020 and 21 season. So we'll stand by. As everyone knows, our LA Kings event that we were looking to do in March, we had to unfortunately cancel because of that was right at the beginning of all this stuff. So we'll get back on the horse there, and you can expect some LA Kings action at Staples Center in the suites with some concerts wrapped around the game. So that's what's going on with hockey. And now, Don, let's finish up with the sports stuff by talking about what's going on in the world of MMA and how is Dana White, the UFC, and just MMA in general navigated these waters and hosted their events.
Well, I think the UFC are the pioneers in the just like in the entire MMA world. They are the Super Bowl NFL of the MMA world, and everybody kind of follows what they're doing, and Bellator included. But the way they've been doing it, they started their events. They were one of the first, if not the first, sporting event to have like no fans. And it's interesting, but it's not. So they have testing, and they've been testing all of their fighters, all of the trainers. No fans in the stadiums. And so it's almost like if you've ever watched the Ultimate Fighter series, it's like that. It's literally like that, where it sounds, you can hear all the punches and you can hear the grunts and
right.
And it's just silent. And it's kind of, if you've never seen it before, like if you've never seen the Ultimate Fighter show, when you see an event like that, it seems weird. Like, wow, this is so creepy. But I used to watch the show, so I'm kind of used to it. It just seems like an Ultimate Fighter episode. Really, just in a bigger building, and they're starting to tighten up on their testing protocols. Now they have what they're calling Fight Island in Abu Dhabi, and
right.
They're having, I believe, this whole month they're slated for 4 events just over there on this so-called Fight Island. And they're interesting what the UFC is doing. They're actually having, like, if you're in like in the States, they're having people fly, if you're like from LA or Texas area, like you'd fly to Vegas, and then from Vegas, the UFC charters a plane for those fighters and their trainers and their staff to Abu Dhabi. And then if you're in, if you're in Europe, they're having everybody meet in, I believe they've had them fly down to Florida, and then they charter them out. It's so they have like basically they have hub centers of airports where they just, depending on where you are in the world, they have you go to one location and you get tested there before you board the plane. You have to get tested there, like you're tested in Vegas before you get on the plane to go to the event. And that's what they're doing with every country for every fighter. You go to one area, one city in that airport, you get tested. Once you're cleared, you get to board the plane, and then you get chartered over to Abu Dhabi. And I believe, as far as Bellator, I don't think they're doing it that extensively. They're just doing the testing, and they're having it with no fans, and they're putting on their events similar to the UFC. Just a fight with just the trainers, the referee, the judges, and no fans. And so far, they've been pretty successful.
So they are really taking every precaution that they reasonably can, right? I mean, with pulling these events off.
Yeah, and keep in mind, I mean, MMA, like golf, like tennis, it's different than the NBA, than hockey, than the NFL. Because, right. and part of the reason why they're able to pull off these events is because the limited amount of people involved in their sport. MMA, obviously, it's just really two guys fighting. It's you got two guys in a ring, in an octagon, whatever, and a referee, and then everybody, and then like the staff and all that. In the NFL, in the NBA, you got a roster of players, and then factor all the coaches and trainers, for all those players. So just the numbers are a lot bigger. So I think that's why for MMA, it's a little easier for them to navigate these waters because they have less people involved with the activity itself. And so they're making it work.
Less bodies, less humans to work with and test, right? It just really comes down to that.
Exactly.
It's not as crowded.
Exactly. That's why, like golf, been able to have a couple of tournaments over the last few weeks. Once again, you saw my quarterback Patrick Mahomes in that celebrity tournament. But again, golf is the same thing. Like
another shameless Mahomes plug.
Absolutely. It's just less bodies, and so it's a little easier for them. The NFL, the NBA, and hockey have a much harder task at hand to try to get pretty much anything off the ground.
So we can't wait to get back on the horse here with our sporting events, and we're looking to 2021 to do that. We're going to stay on it and do everything that we possibly can and adjust to our situation. So, Don, what do we have here last on the docket?
What do we got? What we want? I guess let the people know how we're going to be, focusing on with the podcast and what else we got going on with American Warrior Festival, just moving forward.
Okay. Well, this is what we've been up to. Obviously, as you know, right now, this year podcast, we've really taken this time since our events have been postponed and canceled. We've put together this podcast, and we think it's really going well so far. We're really excited about the work we've done and where we're headed. And Don, why don't you talk a little bit more about the podcast and some of the things that we want to accomplish and where we're headed?
Well, like we've been saying throughout today's episode is, stay tuned, man. I mean, you guys, if you want to know what's going on with American Warrior Festival, we will have an episode for you every single week. At least one, sometimes two. Like you guys got that bonus episode a couple of weeks ago for 4th of July. So anytime we have an event like that, a holiday, we may throw an extra special bonus episode at you. But yeah, man, stay tuned. We will have everything about American Warrior Festival, the events, and everything we're doing on this podcast. We have guests that we love to bring on that are involved with American Warrior, news, and we just want to grow this as much as we can. Obviously, as many of you know, we are on all the major streaming platforms: iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify. Soon we'll be on Pandora, a few others, and maybe in about a month or so we'll be on Pandora. We're on Alexa. We're on that platform as well. You can tell if you have an Alexa device, you can simply tell Alexa, hey Alexa, play me American Warrior Festival podcast, and she should be able to find it. If she doesn't, tell her come talk to me.
Yeah, listen here, Alexa. Yeah, we have it working now. Every time I've tried it recently, I do notice it might default to the last episode that you've been listening to, but I think you could probably specify and pick a different episode. But I mean, that happens with other podcasts that I listen to as well. I know.
Actually, there is a way around that.
Okay, what is that?
There's something called pod file, I believe it's called, on Google or on Alexa. It's like a Pod Tool. Sorry, there we go. My mind was going for a second there. So there's something called Pod Tool on Alexa. It's already like attached to it. If you don't have it installed, you can simply tell Alexa, "Hey Alexa, install Pod Tool," and then it'll do it for you. And then right after she loads that for you, then you can simply tell her, "Alexa, play me American Warrior Festival podcast on Pod Tool, episode 2," and it should go right to it, or episode 3. It's this new app.
Oh, that's really helpful.
That they made for Alexa to specify episodes and where you're, because again, a lot of people have had that problem with Alexa when you're trying to listen to a podcast. It's very general. So if you use the Pod Tool in Alexa, it'll be very specific to what you want. So, but you just gotta tell Alexa, play me American Warrior Festival podcast on Pod Tool. And if you were listening to episode 3, it's supposed to continue to get you at episode 3 where you left off. So,
okay, well, that's a great tool on Alexa there to get to our podcast. And we're going to keep improving and bringing you new episodes. We have a bunch of exciting new episodes coming up, such as the American Warrior Festival music episode. Obviously, you know, music is our foundation and our number one pillar. So we're going to start providing more music for you. We have some really exciting podcast episodes coming up, such as our recruiter and drill instructor episode, which is just going to be awesome and hilarious at the same time. You're going to have a drill instructor barking in your ear here soon on the American Warrior Festival podcast. So some exciting things coming up. So just stay tuned. Like Don said, we'll be here every week. Another big... I'm sorry. Go ahead, Don.
Actually, I just wanted to add something here. Also, we talked about, we've been talking about future dates and events and stuff in 2021 and beyond. Now, eventually, part of the goal, one of the main goals of the podcast is we will be in studio, like live-ish in studio. So at some point, for those of you watching on YouTube, we will actually be in studio, with the camera on. You'll be able to see Dan's mug, So that is also part of the goal of American Warrior Festival, to have live footage in studio, for your viewing pleasure. So stay tuned for that. And as soon as we can make that happen, we will definitely be going with that format as well.
Yeah, that's going to be exciting. And another thing that we can't forget, we might as well put it in right here, is Don and I are going to be bringing to you an option to be a patron through Patreon. Right now you can subscribe for free, and we appreciate everyone that subscribes. If you become an official patron, then we are going to add some perks, such as some behind-the-scenes content, discounted or free tickets to some of our events. If it's live music concerts or sports or the firing ranges, whatever we're working on, we're going to do some things with that. Some merchandise, T-shirts, hats, coffee, candy bars, anything we can really add to it that brings it to an extra level for those people that are helping keep us moving forward through financial support. So, Don, anything to add on the Patreon that we're going to be building up?
Yeah, just like you said, I mean, keep posted, keep to it. We're going to be working on that fairly soon here. It should be up. Our Patreon should be up within the next week or so, and you guys will be able to contribute to that, and we'll have the perks and the rewards up. And not now on that same subject, we will also hopefully soon here in the next week or so also have our merchandise up on maybe on the YouTube channel, and links to the coffee and the American Warrior Festival chocolate. Weapon X has their T-shirts and stuff, so we keep an eye out for those merchandise buttons that we're going to be adding to the podcast and to American Warrior Festival YouTube channel. All those things help to support the channel. If you guys like what we're doing, if you enjoy the podcast, if you want to help support the cause, those are ways you guys can help support and move forward with us, so we can just bring you better and bigger entertainment for everybody.
Yeah, well put. And if you want to find our merchandise, candy, and coffee right now, you can go. We're going to be linking it up ASAP to the website, AmericanWarriorFestival.com. That's probably going to take us another week. So until then, you can go to Clor Music Company. That's my last name, CLOR, Music Company. And just also type in Big Cartel. That's the name of the storefront platform. So if you type that into your Google search, it will come up, and then you can check out our store, which has American Warrior shirts, hats, all kinds of stuff, stickers, and then Weapon X merchandise, including CDs, music, T-shirts, koozies, all kinds of different things. So yeah, you can go to the store and check it out, and you can also get our coffee and candy there. So I'm sorry, go ahead, Don.
No, so you can do that old caveman or ancient way that like Dan just said, or you can just go right down into the show notes in the description of the podcast, where I will put the link, and you guys can just click that, and it'll take you right to it.
See, that's why Don gets paid the big bucks. See, look at that. Don calls me the caveman because I am technologically deficient.
So yeah, no need for the Google machine. It'll be right there in the description. You guys can just click on the link. It'll send you right to it. And you guys can just click and buy at your leisure. I'll make it simple for you.
What do I know? I just work here. So
making people type. What is wrong with you?
Yeah, I know, right? Another big thing that we've been focusing on is building up our team, infrastructure, and systems. Basically organizing our company. We've been very fortunate to add some really amazing team members onto our team on the national level, and we've really taken this downtime to just tighten up and sharpen up our game. So, that's just something you're going to see over the next, few months and years. You're just going to see a tighter product overall, a better brand, and that's what we're aiming to do. We want to keep sharpening the steel, and becoming better. So hopefully you see the results of that sooner than later. And another thing that's been close to our heart, and we really can drive this one home, is the American Warrior Festival food drive is still going on. And, you can contribute either online financially, or you can bring some non-perishable food items to one of our local drop centers, which, just reach out to us through our website contact. And we could tell you where you can drop food off if you'd like to do that, or if you'd like to do an online contribution of $5 or more. So the food drive, we not only bring it to local veteran organizations and feed homeless veterans, but we also just try to help anyone in need who needs food. So, please contribute where you can on that front.
Absolutely.
So, all right, well, we're going to finish up here with, we're just making the most of our situation, adapting, adjusting, and moving forward. And we've had a good time bringing you the news today. It's been an awesome time having our producer Don on with us today. This is his first appearance out on the mic. You'll be hearing from him a lot more. So if you have any questions or concerns, just reach out to us through our website, AmericanWarriorFestival.com. Don, do you have any parting comments?
No, I think you covered it, man. Like you said, we just got to move forward. Everybody be safe out there. Do what you can. Protect yourself, protect your families, and just make the best of your situation.
Live life, right? Just make the best. Make the best of it. Well put, Don. So, yeah, just stay tuned now for two amazing guests, Bill Scott and Trevor Nystrom. We have a really fun conversation headed your way right there. Thanks a lot. The American Warrior Festival podcast brought to you by the Red Osier Landmark Restaurant, Western New York's premier dining experience, known for its amazing prime rib and dedication to the veteran community. Visit them online at theredosier.com.
Coming up next, we have some music out of San Antonio. This is Even in Death with Fire All of Your Guns.
The American Warrior Festival podcast, brought to you by Oliver's Candies, the creator of the American Warrior Festival candy bar. Oliver's Candies is proud to offer you the largest selection of award-winning chocolates made in Western New York. Visit them online at oliverscandies.com. All right, now we have some very special guests here for you. My good friends Bill Scott and Trevor Nystrom, two of my favorite people in the world. How we doing, gents?
Doing well. How are you?
Oh, man, doing outstanding here. Trevor, how are you, buddy?
I'm good. I'm just, trying to do things and stay busy.
Awesome. That's all we can really do at this point. Now,
Right.
I know when you hear the name Bill Scott, all you Weapon X supporters out there, you know exactly who I'm talking about. The assassin over there on the guitar, the man who does all the shredding lead work, the production, all the things on our albums. So, yeah, it's just real special to have you guys on here. And Bill, I mean, you've been with us now for, what, going on 9 years? Almost a decade?
I think it's close to 9, yeah.
Man.
What was it, 2012, I think?
I think your first show was actually 2011, late 2011.
Wow.
Because the first American Warrior was 2012.
No, that would make sense then.
Yep. So, man, it's been a good run so far, brother.
Yeah, man.
And
Getting old. This is bullshit.
we're getting better, baby. We're getting better.
That's fine wine.
Or stale whiskey. Is there such a thing?
Yeah, we're not really wine drinkers. I think whiskey might be the thing.
Well, I was gonna say I never know if it's stale because it's already been drank.
It don't stick around long enough to go bad with this group. Bill, remember that time I tried to pass that? What was it? I tried to pass off on you that one of those late nights out on the porch there in Sherman Oaks. I told you it was whiskey.
Yeah, it was I think it was some kind of rum or something.
I don't think it was even that good, bro. I think it was like I don't know what it was, but it was not good, and it needed to go. It was on top of the fridge, and I was like, my buddy Bill here, I think he's had enough. I might be able to slip this in, and he might not realize what he's drinking. Bullshit. Right away. Oh, this sucks. This ain't whiskey. Where's my whiskey? Bill,
I don't know many things, but I know that.
Well, the man with 3 first names, I mean, you should,
To the third power.
Bill, explain that a little bit, your heritage and how cool that is. William John Scott.
William John Scott III. Sounds like royalty.
It does.
But my grandfather, William Scott, was actually a poor butcher in Scotland, and he actually moved to the States during the Great Depression. That's how bad it was in Scotland.
Wow.
And then due to lack of creativity, he named my dad William John Scott II. And then due to my dad's lack of creativity, I'm William John Scott III.
Yeah, no hassle with baby names on that one.
That is amazing. So, oh man,
it's nice though. It makes things easy.
It does. So
if I were ever to have kids, which will probably not happen, but if I were ever to have kids, the choice has already been made. I don't even have to think about it if it's a boy.
Can we call him William the Quattro?
Well, I do live
think
in
just
LA.
the Quattro.
I live in LA. Yeah, Quattro.
Trevor, I like that.
Especially if it's with a Latina woman, then I definitely would
No,
go
but I
for
like
that.
it. You gotta go the Quattro. Like
Yeah.
not Quattro, the Quattro.
Not El Quattro.
No, I want the there. I feel like that'd be like the name of a weird truck.
It gives it the Spanish and Americanized element to it.
Yeah, it's a little diverse.
Yeah, right. Well, plus my Marine Corps bros will tell you a bunch of my Mexican Marine buddies. It's some good Spanglish, the Quattro.
Yeah, it's great Spanglish.
So,
Great Spanglish.
I mean, I'd ask my Marine buddies, how do you guys choose where you're heading with this? Like, I'm following half of it, and I know a little Spanish, so I'm like, how do you guys decide, which language you're going to work with on certain sentences? And I think it's just improv at its finest.
Yeah.
So, well, hey, Bill, why don't we tell the people a little bit about your work in the music industry and, what you got going on here, a little bit about how you got started, all that good stuff.
Well, let's see. Getting started, I started playing guitar when I was 11. I played pretty much every sport in the book, and the only two I was good at were the rich people sports, which was golf and tennis.
Living up to that name.
Did you have to wear the white tennis shorts?
No, I did not.
Oh, okay.
Visualizing it now, though.
Good.
No, I wore those skirts.
I love that. I love
like
that.
Chris Evert, Martina Navratilova style.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
Like
I was a big Anna Kournikova fan.
Oh yeah.
And,
who wasn't, right? Yeah.
And but my favorite sport to play was baseball. Unfortunately, I was terrible at it. And the last year I played, my team won the championship. We all got trophies. And I looked at my trophy and realized I did nothing to earn this. I was not a help at all. I was more of just a hindrance. And despite me being despite me being a hindrance, I still got a trophy. And I just realized at that point, baseball was not in the cards for me, and sports were probably not in the cards for me. And so I decided, well, what else can I do? And I was really into, I was always into music, listening to it all the time. By 5 years old, I was listening to Michael Jackson and Metallica and all this stuff, And so then at the time, it's the early 90s, so I was a big Nirvana fan. And so I said, well, maybe I should play guitar like Kurt Cobain, And so I told my mom, well, actually, initially I wanted to play drums. And my mom said that they were too loud. So
she wasn't going to have that, right?
Yeah, which was funny because then after a year of playing guitar, my mom goes, this is loud too. You can get yourself some drums. So that's kind of where I started. And I started my first band when I was 12. And played with most of the guys in that band all the way up until I moved to LA when I was 23. And, in the midst of that, I was taking lessons. I played in the school bands. And I think, I won an award for some jazz festival when I was 14. And then, played like New Jersey Metal Fest, New England Metal Fest. And then I ended up going to Berklee College of Music, which I wanted to go to since I was 12. And so it's the only college I applied it to. And I figured if I didn't get in, I just wasn't going to go to college. And so right after graduating, I pretty much just moved directly to LA to start I don't want to say start my career. I feel like I already had a career, I guess continue my career, but in a bigger way.
Because it sounds like once you got the guitar in your hand, you were pretty much, you were doing practical things with it. You just weren't going to sit around in your room and shred. You got right out there and were active, got yourself into a band, learned the trade, were doing shows.
Yeah, I practiced about 8 or 9 hours a day.
Wow.
And after the first year, I felt like I was good enough to play with other people. And so I immediately, in my middle school, I just asked people, who's the best drummer that you know? And it turned out to be this guy, Corey Wilhelm. And we're still really, really good friends. And he's still probably one of the best drummers I've ever played with. And in fact, he was nominated for a Grammy last year. But anyway, everyone told me it was this guy, Corey Wilhelm. And the funniest thing about Corey, sweetest dude on the planet. But when I met him, I don't want to say he was a Jesus freak, but he had shoelaces that said "Jesus loves you" on them. And at the time, I was a pretty diehard atheist, And
as opposed to now.
Well, now I'm agnostic. As Bill Maher says, it's atheist light.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. But I'm also far less judgmental, I think, than I was back then,
Right.
But the funny thing was when I met him, he had "Jesus loves you" shoelaces, and I had a Slayer T-shirt. that I think it had
match made in heaven right there.
I think it had satanic references on the shirt as well. And in hindsight, when we talk about when we met each other, he told me he was scared to death of me. And the only reason why he agreed to play with me was because he was scared to death of me to say no.
See, that's what Slayer could do, man. I feel like a Slayer t-shirt, you could weigh like 85 pounds and like the 250-pound like state champion wrestler be like, don't fuck with that guy. You know,
I think especially
got a Slayer
then,
t-shirt on.
I think especially back then, because when I look back at the 90s, it was far more conservative than I think I ever realized. You know, like to say you were an atheist or to, you know, support gay rights or anything like that was pretty, you know, that was considered pretty far left back in that era, you know?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And so for someone who had that religious background, you know, I think they've been conditioned to the point of like, if that guy's wearing a Slayer t-shirt, like he's channeling the devil, you know?
Definitely. Satan's conduit, if you will.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty rad though, that he had those on his shoelaces. I mean, it's kind of interesting in its own right. I mean, just that whole meeting must have been pretty funny.
Yeah, it was. And what was funny is when he told me after, like later, that he was scared and he told me everything that was going through his mind. I mean, it just made me laugh because, you know, he's the sweetest dude on the planet. We were, you know, I mean, we're still just really good friends. And, but the fact that, you know, he felt that way kind of, when I play the thing back in my head, I can see that he was now, you know, but since I didn't know him back then, I didn't notice, you know?
Sure. Well, and I know that feeling, Bill, of, there was when I first started teaching guitar, I worked at this amazing music store. They were really, really awesome people. Also very, very devout Christian and religious. And I had this one dude come in one time and I see the, what's it, the Warlock there, the BC Rich.
Yeah.
That comes in, you know, the case is all kind of funky design. I'm like, uh-oh. He walks in, Slayer. I'm like, uh-oh, here's Satan's spawn. Right? He comes in. How am I going to make this work here in the land of Jesus here inside this room? And so he comes in, and I'm like, I see his guitar, and it's just, I mean, Satan, you know, goat, freaking Baphomet, all this stuff. You know, isn't it Baphomet that's got the the horns with a nice rack? Right? Mm-hmm. That's Baphomet. So
the best description of Baphomet I've ever heard.
Man, I'm really conflicted. In fact, I've had people that have really been down with Baphomet and got very offended when I talked about his tits. You know. So.
Well, they're against trans people. That's all. You know?
Oh, right. That's what it is. So. I'm like, hey, buddy, you're going to have to angle that guitar my way. We cannot let the owner of this place see what you got going on in that 6-string. And he was totally disappointed. I'm like, but hey, let's get down to metal, you know? And a few weeks later, they're like, yeah, Dan, we really like you, but we think you might have to move on down the road. Like, oh, damn, really? What'd I do? Well, we got a perfect church that you could teach at down in the basement. I'm like, aren't you bringing me closer to the Lord with this satanic stuff? And
yeah,
like,
sure.
And come to find out, it's the church that I was actually baptized in.
Oh, funny.
How funny is that? I tell you what, one of the first songs I taught there was Highway to Hell. And the place was just, the pipes were bad, so it was on fire. It was like a sweat fest down there. And I was like, man, how'd I end up here? Was it that kid's guitar? Was it Slayer? Damn you, Slayer.
Yeah.
So anyway, sorry for that segue, but I felt it was kind of relevant with that whole yin and yang there.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, all right. So now, what do you got going on here today? I mean, I know shows aren't happening at the moment, but you have some really exciting things that you've been working on.
I mean, it's weird. I teach guitar, a couple of days a week, and so I've lost a bunch of students, so I'm teaching one day a week now online. And then, I do a lot of tech work, helping studios set up their gear, install their software, so I've been working for a couple people, helping them do that, because a lot of people are now really building up their home studios because they're stuck in their houses now. So I've been doing that, and then I've just been writing. I bought some new gear. Figured since I was stuck at home, I'll buy myself a new keyboard, and so I've started writing some stuff that's kind of more orchestral, kind of like film composer kind of stuff.
Oh, really? Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a future collaboration with Ryan there?
Maybe. Yeah, I'm figuring that, since who knows when shows are coming back,
Right.
And
unfortunately.
Advertisers still need music, and commercials are still being made, so just kind of another, element to look at to get by in the meantime.
Adapting to the situation, like we said in episode 1, right? Adapt and overcome,
exactly.
and doing what you can. And now, Bill, one of my favorite stories, if you want to share this one with the people, is just the idea of being a guitar teacher and a role model.
Yeah.
And how you decipher between the two, and kind of what's expected out of a guitar teacher and a role model.
Yeah. Well, so when I just started working for the company that I work with, I basically work with them as like an independent contractor. And so what they do is they find you the students, they do the advertising, they manage all the finances, and they just pay you. Which is good. It gets all the admin stuff out of the way, and so you just show up and teach. And it also makes it so you're not the bad guy when it comes to collecting on the money.
Right. And that's
is hard.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard because, when you're teaching someone, a lot of times, you kind of develop a friendship. And now all of a sudden you're their friend demanding money from them. You know what I mean?
Right. It is nice to have that third party being that guy, because it definitely changes the dynamic.
And if someone misses the lesson and they have to get charged anyway, I'm not the bad guy. I just go, oh, it's company policy.
Right. It's a shield.
Yep. So, so I think about maybe probably the fourth student they got me. So probably within like the third week I was working for them. I had my first lesson with this kid named Cameron, and I taught him Purple Haze. And I left the house, and the next day, because the company calls to see how your first lesson was. Did you like the teacher? Did you want to try somebody else? That kind of stuff. And so apparently they called Cameron's mom, and she said, well, Bill was really great. I mean, he really knows his stuff, and he was a good teacher, and he really showed Cameron some great stuff, and he's practicing. Like, couldn't really be happier. The only complaint I have is he smells like cigarettes. And so the owner of the company, is saying, so, maybe you could wear some cologne or, get some breath mints and smoke with your windows down. I'm like, well, first of all, I already do smoke with my windows down. I'm not hot boxing my Honda with tobacco. And then I said, listen, you can call them back and tell them it's $60 an hour for a guitar teacher. It's an additional $60 an hour for an effing role model.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why we love Bill Scott. I love that story. There's so many more.
I've had a couple run-ins like that, man. But my favorite one was I had these born-again Christian kids. They were a year apart. They looked like twins almost, and they were homeschooled, and it was a nice family, But first lesson, I asked the kids, I'm like, what bands do you like? And we like U2, we like Coldplay, we like Guns N' Roses, but we don't like them as people. Oh. And I go, you don't like them as people? What does that mean? I go, did you have lunch with Slash last week? Like, what don't I know that you know?
Right, yeah.
And he goes, well, we don't like the drinking and the drugs and the womanizing. I said, okay, I need you to stop.
Yeah.
I go, first of all, I want you to know that I don't want your parents' opinions. I want your opinions.
Right there.
Okay? I said the second thing is, without the drinking and the drugs and the womanizing, there would be no Guns N' Roses.
Yeah, right. It's the essence. It's the fabric of everything that band does. The authenticity. All that stuff. Those late nights, gallivanting around Sunset and Hollywood and all that.
Yeah, being broke and staying at women's houses because you ain't got no money.
Right. I mean, the art is just the artist's influences
Well,
in day-to-day
everyone else
life.
was lying. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like Poison and all those guys. Like until they got their
Right.
record deal, they were just as bad off as GNR.
Right.
Right. But everything was about the party and the girls, but they didn't talk about like the real stuff. You know?
Right. The actual authenticity there, and which every artist needs, because people are going to see through that right away. It's like MC Hammer trying to be a gangster, after Hammer Time. It's like no one's buying that, man.
Right.
Like the Beastie Boys, they came out and they talked about going to White Castle, and hey, all this stuff was authentic.
Yeah, they were really authentically themselves. They were goofy, but also political.
Right. And that's the key. I mean, it's just. I always thought being an artist is really like whatever you are, just on 10, right? Or on 11.
Yeah. Yep.
It's really just more of yourself out there. Whatever you are, be more of that.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you want to be a great artist. I mean, like, because to be fair, it's like bands like Poison, right? I'm not a Poison fan. I don't like most hair metal, right?
Right. Exactly.
That being said, I will very much say I'm a huge Bret Michaels fan. As a human being, that guy is amazing. But they did the party route and it worked for them, right? So it worked. It's fine. Do what you do to survive and make it. Like, I don't begrudge anybody for, doing that. But at the same time, I don't think that music's going to stand the test of time like Guns N' Roses.
Right. Yeah. Guns N' Roses just has that, I mean, that's the thing that drew me to them, is just the rebelliousness, the raw playing, the raw, I mean, I think that first album, Appetite, I mean, it was very human, very real. I mean, the sounds were, yeah. It was a Les Paul through a Marshall, it was real drum sounds.
Yeah, it was a great record. I mean, that in rock history, that is, one of the records that is in the top, 50.
Yeah,
I can't really order them, but it's a legendary piece of rock and roll history.
Absolutely. And you know what I loved is the guitar interplay between Izzy and Slash. There are two guitar players that are really utilizing two parts, like it's
they did the whole Keith Richards and Ronnie Wood type thing,
Right. Yeah. I mean, Izzy would throw in little single note lines between the power chords, and he'd kind of paint a picture a little bit while Slash was, kind of driving over it and then doing his awesome leads. And I mean, it was just a great combo between those two guys.
Yeah, for sure.
So now, Bill, let's talk a little bit about, your work with Weapon X and American Warrior, since you've, been with us since 2011. Just, how it all started with us and just what it's meant to you, and how it kind of fits into your overall, musical work over the years.
Let's see. I mean, the very interesting thing about it, I mean, so when I first got in contact with you, we had been in contact through a mutual friend, Jared Swaney. And Jared was playing bass in my band at the time, or no, maybe he wasn't at that point. I can't remember, but I had pretty much kind of not been playing in metal bands at that point in time. I was playing mainly in Van Nuys Music Corporation, which was my last band before my new project, and I was playing with a band called Charlie Played Cello, both more in the kind of alternative rock vein.
Good stuff too. I remember that band.
Yeah, it was a great band, and all the guys in that band were awesome. They're still awesome. I still talk to them. And yeah, so when Jared first mentioned it to me, I know this guy Dan who I've been working with, and I recommended you to him. I was like, that's great. I said, I'd love to be playing in a metal band again. That'd be awesome, because that basically is my roots, essentially. Like grunge and metal are kind of my guitar roots, Yeah, so I just remember you called me and I talked to you when I was recording with Charlie Played Cello up in San Francisco.
Yep, I remember you were up north.
Yep, and then I came down and we started playing, and I was like, good vibe, good people. And yeah, it's been 9 years of that.
Right. Just shows, and we did the album together. And the thing about I know some of you know is Bill's the guy that I would just be hanging out with all the time. He'd be one of my best friends with or without music. So when you have someone like that who's also that talented, and it's just been a real easy thing for us. I mean, we've always been able to work together very smoothly. It's always my goal to try to give you where you feel you have a great deal and everything's working well for you, and you do the same back. And it's just been real smooth for going over 9 years, going on 10. And I still feel with the movement upwards with American Warrior, that's going to bring Weapon X right along with it. And I still think the best stuff that we're going to do is yet to come.
Oh yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
And so, what inspires you to kind of be a part of it with, I know you're big on with us supporting the troops, and that's something that you've always valued, supporting veterans through music and concerts.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I guess I'll say a couple things. For starters, my father served in the Vietnam War.
There you go.
And so, my father's a veteran. And another thing that's going to sound really, I don't know, funny, I guess, but I know that you'll like it, Dan, because you're a Sly Stallone fan. But Rambo: First Blood, I watched with my dad when I was probably like 6 years old.
Awesome.
And the one thing I really remember taking away from that movie, besides the fact that it was just awesome, right?
Oh yeah.
But the thing I really remember taking away was the end scene as he's blowing up the whole town. And he had, Sly has that whole, breakdown to Colonel Troutman, as the gas station's on fire, about how, the people spit on him and all this stuff. And, and just the way that Brian Dennehy as the cop treated him, and I was like, man, that's just so wrong, and that really stuck with me. And when I was 18, or I was 17, my friend was 18, he joined the military, joined the Army. And at the time, I think he joined because he had a kid on the way and he had a GED. He didn't really have prospects of going to college, And so he basically chose the Army basically just as a survival thing,
Right. It is good for that as well. When you really don't know where to turn, there is a family and a brotherhood there. And just an option to kind of get out of it. Yeah.
And what's really interesting about it is this was pre 9/11. So the assumption was he was going to join the Army and there was never going to be a war. Right.
Right. Yeah.
So it was kind of like, yeah, it's safe to do. There's not going to be a war. We haven't really done much since Vietnam. That was kind of the like rationale, The most interesting part about it though, is that I have to say, I mean, the Army completely turned his life around, like for the better. And on top of that, I mean, he loved it. And he left, he was in the first run. He actually was one of the Bradley drivers in that first run into Baghdad.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And when he came back and was a civilian, it drove him nuts. And so he ended up going back in and doing some more kind of like special missions type stuff for a while. But yeah, so I mean, I've had a lot of friends who have served, and I think it's really important that we take care of the people that sacrifice for us. There's a lot of times I wish our government did more in that respect because, I think it's great that, like with what we do with American Warrior, helping veterans and other veterans causes, it's great, but it's sad that our government isn't doing the work.
Bill, that's interesting you say that, because a lot of people say, we're happy to have like, organizations like American Warrior Festival and all the other veteran nonprofit organizations, but they do say that they kind of wish we didn't have to have them.
Right.
It should be icing on the cake and maybe not a foundation of helping, which obviously we're all happy to do. But that is a thing, and the cost of battle and war, it goes much further than the battlefield in the immediate situation. It's a lifetime commitment to it, And yeah, you know, we were talking to we talk to Vietnam veterans all the time, and those guys, I mean, especially all of them, but the ones that were drafted. And
my father was drafted.
Right. Okay. So yeah, see, when they came home, and they're just happy to be home, or just the fact that they survived it. And then when it's as hostile as it was for some of them when they were home, it's like, here's a new war right on our own land, and we didn't even we just did what we thought we had to do. We were drafted, and the fact that the thing I'm so proud of with veterans today, and I mean not the veterans, but the society as a whole, the majority of people by far just love veterans, and no matter what happens with the conflict or why the battles happened or for whatever political reason, they still love the veterans, and
yeah,
that is a victory.
It is, and that's kind of one of the reasons. I mean, not to get super political, but I mean, you know, as I know, Dan's a huge Jim Mattis fan, and I am too. You know, that's one of the reasons why, with what happened in Lafayette Park during the protests, that, you know, Mattis and Admiral McMullen and those guys spoke out. And one of the things that McMullen said was, you know, since Vietnam, we have built up nation's trust in the troops, and behaving that way, you know, eats away at that. And it starts making the military political again, you know, and I think that's, you know, to your point, that's something we have to stay away from, you know.
Right. I think so too, because I mean, that's another thing too. When I joined the Marine Corps, and a lot of people join the military, they're inspired by maybe someone in their family, or, you know, there's no mystery that Hollywood was a big part of that too. I mean, Hollywood is one of the greatest drivers of recruiting ever, you know.
Oh, for sure. Michael Bay is really good at it.
Yeah, right. And not to mention some high-speed commercials and where they place them. But
yeah, it just needs to write better scripts, but, you know.
Yeah, right.
Or work with better scripts, whatever.
But, you know, you join just being a part of that family, and then you get your orders and they come down from the top, and there's, you know, times when that love and passion for being part of that family and your own belief system, you know, it can be in conflict. And really, when it comes down to, when you're in the zone, or you're in the war zone or whatever, it really just comes down to, you look to the man or the woman to your left or right of you. That's why you do it. You know, right. You're like, here we are. We signed up for this. We knew it. And in the military is one of those things where I always said you really get out of it. I mean, get out of it what you put into it, but it's really also what you make of it.
So is Berklee College of Music, just far less dangerous.
Right?
A lot more music nerds, and a lot more music nerds than that one. Yeah.
I know we've explored some of your characters that you met through the Berklee School of Music. We might have to actually, before we sign off, talk a little bit about that, because I know there's some good, funny stories. In fact, there's, you know, listen, if we could let these stories rip, the unfiltered, man, you guys, this being a family show, I don't know, family show, but I don't know what rating we are, but there's some exciting stories that we could share with you. Maybe you'll have to come out and see us at a show and hang out at the bar with us. You might hear some of them, but give them some incentive to come hang out with us, right, Bill?
Yeah, exactly.
But
hours of entertainment on that one. I'll recommend that to everybody listening.
Will you vouch for that, Trevor?
I vouch for that. I was thinking, like, there could be like 9 podcasts just on stories with you and Bill. So there could really be a lot. You know, there's a lot of information, a lot of juicy secrets and stories that are hilarious that everyone needs to hear, hopefully one day.
It is very debatable if our best performances are on stage or off stage. You know,
I've seen both, and I'm going to take off stage just because I love the banter between the two. And you guys, and the stories, and everything that you guys need to get into.
Well, see, Bill always amuses me all the time, because he's either just in a really good mood and just fun, or when he gets irritated or you know, gets frustrated with shit, or just, you know, he gets on a tangent of some kind, it's probably even more entertaining. So it's a win-win no matter where you go.
He's the only guy that had an amplifier fall on his head.
That's what we can share right now. Thanks for bringing that up. Hey, Trevor, I tell you what a clutch performance there by you, Trevor, because this has something to do with veterans as well. We're getting ready for the first New York American Warrior Festival in Leroy area, Rochester area. And we go into the local Leroy American Legion, my home post and everything. And they're kind enough to let us come in with gear that was way more than what that room needed. Right, Bill?
Yeah, we brought in like a sound system that was for an outdoor festival into a VFW hall.
Yeah, like pictures and old bowling trophies were just rattling, and I even had neighbors tell me that we rearranged their family pictures going up the staircase across the street, so it was that kind of shredding going on. And, Weapon X rehearsed, and, we did our thing. And then we also had, one of my first bands, which, you Western New York fans and East Coast fans know, Diesel. Bill is, basically recruited him to shred with Diesel as well. So we're getting started and getting into that set. And that band needed more work because we just kind of got together, that week. And all of a sudden, we're ripping, the energy's good, everything's vibing. And all of a sudden I look over and this big black shape just falls out of the sky, up the ceiling, and just boom, it all happened so quick. It just fell right on Bill's head. And he just went down like Tyson gave him a shot to the jaw. And I was like, holy shit, what the hell just happened? And I look and I see this speaker and Bill's holding, I always remember that image of Bill like holding the back of his neck. And I was like, oh my God, man, he's really hurt right here. Oh shit, So everyone, gets around him and just making sure he's okay. Do we have to call the ambulance? What the hell's going on? The American Legion, they're like, oh no, So Bill, the warrior that he is.
It was the Legion. I said VFW. It was the Legion.
Oh, yeah. There's the Legion. And so we get Bill to a chair, and I think get him some water. Maybe, doesn't ice become a part of the equation, Bill?
Well, first thing was like, we're going to get you some water. And I said, get me a Jameson.
Oh, yeah, that's right, Bill.
Priorities.
Bill, even after taking that shot to the head and thinking that maybe it erased all his memories, here he is. Give me a whiskey. And so I think they obliged you, right, Bill? I mean, at that point, I think
they argued with me, and then they agreed to give me the whiskey if I would also take water, and I said, that's fine.
Oh, okay, nice. I mean, I think after a while when they thought about it, they're like, we'll name the post after Bill as long as he just keeps this cool. The William John Scott III Leroy Legion post.
Well, I think the people that helped me, they weren't, I don't know if they were part of the Legion, but I know that the woman, I guess, was a nurse or something, and that's why she sprang to help right away.
Right, that's right. So then we get Bill out near the bar. We need to get him to where he feels at home. Well, he was at his stage home, but that was obviously... Bill, when he got his Jameson, he goes, fellas, that's a wrap for me with this Diesel rehearsal. And who the hell am I to tell a guy just had a speaker fall 5 feet onto his head to get back in there?
Yeah, and I mean, I didn't need the work. It was more for Tom,
Yeah, exactly.
He was brand new.
Yeah, Tom was definitely brand new there with that band. And so Bill gets out, towards, near the bar, sitting down at the table, and I said, how you doing, buddy? And, I'm hanging in there. Bill, always positive. So, there's I think someone brings up the fact, hey man, you're not going to sue the American Legion, are you? And then Bill.
No, I think it was Ben saying that you could. It was something like that.
What an asshole. So Bill, tell him what you said, because it's a great line. It was a very patriotic, I'll do anything for the veterans line. When you dropped do you remember the line you dropped there?
It was something to the effect of, like, dude, you want me to sue the American Legion? Like, that's the most unpatriotic thing you could do.
While rehearsing for the American Warrior Festival.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, what? How much more unpatriotic can you get by suing an American Legion who let us rehearse while rehearsing?
For free, just to chill.
Yeah. And I think they were definitely taking care of us too. So yeah, that was, that's Bill, man. I mean, also, when you go on tour with Bill, there's a lot of interesting things there too. I mean, we'll just talk about the Washington D.C. restaurant when it's 1:30 or no, it's like 1 in the morning. The kitchen's closing. You better get your food orders in. I'm rushing frantically to have the server take my order and get it into the kitchen. The only problem, Bill's whiskey was empty, and his order was colliding with my food order. So I try to say, Bill, bro, the bar's open for a little bit longer, but the kitchen's closing. Yeah? That's good. Why is your food more important than my whiskey? And I'm like, oh man, come on, Bill. And you're like, no, answer me that. If you could give me a good answer, then maybe I'll agree with you. I didn't have an answer. I'm like, well, I'm hungry. He's like, I'm thirsty. Fuck. I'm like, damn it. It's hard to get that one by Bill. But needless to say, it was a great night because Bill got his whiskey. I got a whiskey too, and I got my food. Everyone was happy. That was that tour was a lot of fun, Bill. I can't wait to do the next one.
Yeah, it was fun.
So, all right, now let's talk about the video you just did and get Trevor in here, and before we start talking about our favorite drinks and whatnot and wrapping it up.
Right on.
Well, Bill, why don't you intro the video? Tell people where to watch it and what it is.
There you go.
So, the name of the song is called "I Want to Get Wasted," and I think it's appropriate for every time, but I think during this pandemic,
it's right on the nose, right, Bill?
Yeah, I think it's got a little. It was always relevant, but maybe it's just a little bit more relevant now.
Yeah, that's the title of my life right now. Is I want to get wasted, or actually, accurately,
I'm gonna get wasted. Here I am wasted.
I am wasted is what the appropriate title.
Trevor, what I like about Trevor is I'm noticing he likes to cut the fat away. Just the quattro.
He's a writer, dude.
Yeah, he's like, you guys can fluff this stuff up all you want. Let's get down to the brass tacks.
The brass tacks, and that's what I mean. From a speaker to Bill's head, that's where it comes. The brass tacks. The best stories are. It hits you right in the head. It should have been a wake-up call, but I do like that it just became a call to action for Bill, because I've seen Bill take falls off stages and stuff like that, get up, play, and then just kill the show, and you're like, how did that just happen? And how did he miraculously somehow avoid it? And I'm constantly impressed by Bill's cat-like abilities to basically always in any situation work with it and power through it, and then usually give a kick-ass performance. Because even when we were doing the music video, we had nothing but dead ends, things were going wrong. We didn't even get our location till a couple of hours before we were supposed to be there. So we had so many problems and obstacles to kind of overcome that Bill just well, we'll just change it this way. And I'm like, okay. And so that constant, ability to kind of really avoid and be able to, kind of face anything that comes at you and actually make it be a better thing is kind of incredible.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Yeah, Trev and I were, well, I guess I'll finish by saying, if you go to youtube.com/Bill Scott Band, there's my plug. That's where you can see the video. And if you just type in Google Bill Scott, I want to get wasted, you'll find it. But yeah, it's funny because Trevor and I started writing the script, and we wanted to film it in the summer. It was going to be a pool party. It was going to be this whole thing. And by the time we got to actually filming it, I think it was we hit December.
Yeah, it was.
And
it might have been.
What's that?
It might have been. Was it December or was it in January? I feel like it was.
I think
January.
it was December because I went to Florida right afterwards to see my parents for Christmas.
It was the bleed over from November into December. So it was the first week of December, right?
So basically, for unusually in LA at that time, it was raining almost every day. And so filming a pool party in 50-degree weather with rain didn't seem like it was going to work.
Well, remember, we had that production meeting, and it was this beautiful, sunny, picturesque California day. It was beautiful. And we're like, oh, yeah, we can use this pool. This is where we'll do it. And then we all checked our weather apps, and it's oh, it's going to start raining tomorrow for the rest of the week.
For the next 15 days.
Yeah. And just hammer rain. And which it eventually did hammer rain.
Yeah. But I mean, it was raining when we filmed.
It was.
But so what we decided to do is the original video was going to start in an office, and then it was going to end up at a pool party. And so what we decided to do instead was basically we were going to start in an office, and then we were going to move to the bar. And then from the bar, the main character, I play a couple characters in the video, but the main character brings...
Beautifully plays a couple characters.
I got some stuff on that.
The Daniel Day-Lewis of
I'm
musicians,
making notes as we go right here, talking about those different characters he plays.
Daniel Day on that.
Yeah.
Hey man, there will be blood. But yeah, so after the bar, the main character brings everyone from the bar back to his office that he's been fired from to basically have a big party that kind of ruins the office and kind of gives a final FU to, his boss. So yeah, I mean, we had some ideas, we had a lot of roadblocks, and we just kept rewriting and reconfiguring, and I think we both agreed that we got a better video. Yeah, so
it was,
necessity is the mother of invention.
Yeah, right. Sometimes that happens where, I mean, let's talk about the Rocky scene in the ice rink where in the screenplay they had a whole full rink of people and people skating on the rink, and they realized, oh man, those extras are going to cost a bunch of money. We're low on budget here, and you know what? We can't afford to have anyone in this rink with us. And it was magic, that whole scene. And the things that happen, I mean, that's what's great about independent video and filmmaking and all that is, like you guys said, what's it? Necessity is the mother of invention, right? It's the things you have to come up with on the fly, the creativity, and I mean, it becomes a really cool thing.
Yeah,
it's like. Yeah, and when the time is like a ticking clock, like I always feel like everything you do in life should have like a ticking clock behind it.
Yeah.
Because when you're really, faced with time and you're having to just do it and there's no looking back, it's just whatever choice you make, you're going on gut, you're going on what you believe, you're going on what you've learned. Like it all comes from just, this is now time to face some music, so I'm going to play the best song I can play. You know what I mean? Like you have to really just kind of almost become, I'm not going to question, I'm not going to take things into consideration, I'm just going to continue. And I mean, that's why me and Bill had late nights. I think every night before filming we were up until 3 o'clock 4 o'clock in the morning trying to figure everything out, because things were constantly changing. Like we were like at one point we're like, oh, we might have to film in an apartment and make it look like an office. We might have to film in this place that doesn't look like an office at all, if there's anything we can do to fix it. And ultimately we ended up getting, which is hilarious, an auto glass shop. So like we had cubicle walls. We had to build like this office looking set and use creative angles to basically make it look like we're in an office when really like there's, windshields next to us, like broken glass was everywhere.
It was a mechanic shop. Yeah. It
was a mechanic shop that we used. And everyone that I've talked to has seen the video is like, what office building did you shoot in? Because it looks great. I'm like, well, it was kind of an office, but it was actually more of an auto shop that we really had to transform. And we did that all like moments of. And I was even thinking
we got that location. We got that location literally 2 days before the shoot. Because we were going to do some. We were going to go We were going to use Tresla's friend's apartment that was empty.
Yeah.
Make Tresla was the producer on the video, and last minute, her friend Fernando, who works at that auto glass shop, was like, "Yeah, no, shoot here."
Well, this is a little behind the scenes, Billy, that you don't even know about. We didn't have it, so we were gonna get it. Then he was kind of wishy-washy, like, "I don't know. That sounds like too many people here. I don't really want
I
to get in trouble
know about that."
Oh, and then so it was literally like the night before, hours before, like it was like 11 o'clock at night, and we were supposed to be there the next day. It was like, okay, we got the office. And I felt like just everything, all the weight of the world just lifted off my shoulders, because there was no way we were going to be able to round everyone up again, because these are all friends and family members and people that are doing this, as favors for us to try and like get this done.
I think we only paid like one person for acting, right?
Yeah, no, it was all done by just people who actually cared and genuinely loved Bill. And I think that is a true accolade to Billy's characters. People will do stuff for him. I've known him for, Bill, how long have I known you? Like
12
we're going on
years,
12 years?
years.
Yeah, probably 13 years. 13 years. With 12 years, we knew each other in person. This year, we know each other over Zoom meetings and stuff like that.
Yes. Yeah, although you did come over to edit some video the other night.
Yeah, it was pretty funny because it was like, I want to hug you. Yeah, for this podcast. And I was like, I want to hug you and like just be like, I miss you. And it was just instead like two people who became socially awkward people. Like, okay, how are you? Okay, good.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
just because you're not aware of how much the human interaction is just such a beautiful thing.
Oh yeah, definitely. And you guys with this video is just really impressed with it. I mean, it's one of the funniest videos I've ever seen. I mean, the song I knew for a while because working with Bill with Weapon X, when we were hanging out, he would show me a lot of the other things that he's working on. And I remember him telling me I was walking around Ralph's, and Bill, I think this is how it started, right? I was walking around Ralph's one night and heard this I don't know if you said brainless or whatever it was.
Vapid.
Yep. Song that was just like, this is ridiculous, as he's going around looking for, I don't know, Bill, you probably were just trying to find some, frozen pizza in a
I'd say
12?
Totino's pizza rolls.
Beer.
Yeah, I was going to say the trip to
No,
the
I guess it
store.
was a 7-Eleven.
Oh, okay.
That's true. That's a 7-Eleven purchase.
So Bill hears this, this dancey song, and he's like, I can go home and do that right now. And Bill, having the home studio in his house and being an engineer and producer and whatnot, songwriter, just goes and puts this tune together. And then, I met Trevor through Bill at the, a lot of our hangouts, and then just right away, with Trevor, man, when I met you, I was like, oh, this is a guy that I just really can get along with right away. Feel like I've known 10 years, and
absolutely. I feel the same way.
Yeah, man.
I feel the same way. Immediate connection.
Right. Absolutely. And every time it's just, Trevor walks in the door, good vibes are coming with him, and that's
Same
what I
with you.
feel.
You've got that same air. I feel like, because you have that same air about you. Like, you can walk in the room and it lights up and everyone knows, oh, Dan's here, kind of thing. And it becomes a certain thing. So when I see people like that, I'm like, oh, I love that about them, because it's such a refreshing thing. I don't think Dan's ever had a bad day in his life. He's the most optimistic, happy person I've ever met.
Oh, thanks, man. I try my best, man. It's in the older we get too, and Trevor bringing up that thing about time, man. I just see how much more valuable it is as we get older, and how we decide. Like, imagine having that clock, like you were saying, behind you since day one. Now that it could be stressful, but just think about how productive and how we would do things we really want to do. And there is nothing more, I know it's cliched, but there's nothing more valuable than it. Time is the one thing that's so vital and can't get back. And as we go along on this journey, it's like, the decisions you make now as you get older, I think you put more thought behind them of, who do I want to spend my time with? What do I want to be doing? And I think that's a good thing. I think it's a good natural progression.
Well, it really lets you put things into consideration, because I really think the people that really, the older you get, and I think goes for everybody, your friends kind of have became that thing where it's like, the people who are going to be in your life for the rest of your life, because you met them at a certain time and they're growing with you. Right. And they're not going backwards or doing things that are, taking themselves down with toxicity and all sorts of things. But the people that are there with you, that are kind of sharing the ride, and you're sharing their ride. And it's such a beautiful thing to be a part of. And with that, I love that. Because on my life, on everything I do, I kind of put it where I have that shot clock behind me.
Right. Oh, it's a great way to put it, the shot clock. Wow.
It really is, because, we don't really realize, especially being in isolation as long as I have now, you kind of learn to really appreciate the small stuff that I totally took for granted and didn't think about. Even just seeing oh, the wind looks really beautiful blowing through the trees right now. And that's something I would never have given a second, to admire. Sure. But when you have that, that clock going from the moment you wake up, where it's well, what am I going to do? How am I going to be productive? And what, goals, am I trying to set for myself today? And I'm watching that clock click down, and I better be moving, forward, toward those goals, not away from them. I think that's important.
And think about it too. There's that old saying, I push my bed against the wall so I can only get out on the right side.
I love that. I've never heard that before, but I love it, and I'm stealing it.
Go ahead, man.
I'm going to say it to everybody.
I think I borrowed it myself. But
that's my new live, laugh, love.
Well,
hey, I came up with necessity as the mother of all invention, just so you know.
Oh.
Hey, that's good too, Bill.
Bill, are you saying you're part of the mothers of invention? Is that what you're saying?
I wish I was, man. I wish.
Bill, you are what you is. Isn't that what he said? And that was
I am what I is. Yeah.
Zappa's
my hero, man.
Did weasels rip your flesh?
Thankfully, no, but that record ripped my ears in a good way.
How about, what's that other song? My Guitar Killed Your Mama?
Yep.
Oh, man.
My guitar wants to kill your mama.
Oh, the Pajama people, man. I mean,
yeah.
The funny thing about that is, like, people always say, how many drugs was Zappa on?
None.
No, man, coffee and nicotine.
Yep, that's it.
Hey, you can go to creative places without experiencing levels of drugs. Like, I mean, I think I know people that I think basically get high off their own breath by just, really embracing it. And I totally like think where like it's like what you're getting out of life is what you're kind of putting out there and what you're wanting and like what you're feeling and like so like you can have those incredible experiences and go deeper in the mind like Zappa did without the assistance of contraband or not contraband but I think everyone's
illegal substances.
Illegal substances would be the proper way of saying it. Thank you, Bill, for the assist.
Bill just laid it up Magic Johnson style there. It now I wanted to also tell the people, Trevor, this amazing video intro that you're gonna see on our YouTube episodes where you see some visuals is Trevor. Now Trevor's coming in and he's gonna be our video guy and growing with us and we have a very talented human being here that is just a great guy. So that's another thing when you see people in film and whatever working together consistently, every movie it's the same actors. It's really because they just love working with each other. Really was what it comes down to.
It's such an important part. That film family is really important.
Yeah, I mean I'll never forget this. When I was about 15 years old, there was a buddy of mine, bass player, who was a great bass player and a great dude. However, he was very full of himself, and he really liked to talk down about other people, right? So he would say, oh, that guy can't play horn, man. He's terrible. Like, he's not going to do this. And this guy can't play bass. And, he was just so judgy, about people and their playing and all that stuff. And I told him, I said, yo, man, you better clean up that attitude. I said, because at the end of the day, when people go on the road, it's about who they want to hang with, not how good you are. Right?
That's the truth.
Like at the end of the day, like if you want to play guitar for like, say, I don't know, it doesn't matter what artist. Most of the music that people listen to, if you know your open chords and a pentatonic scale, you got a job.
Right. You're going to be in business. Yeah.
Right. The main thing is, does Stevie Nicks want to hang with you at the end of the night? If the answer is no, well, you don't have that gig. You know?
Exactly.
And I think in film, working as a music producer, producing a record is not easy, but to actually direct and make a film or a music video is hard.
Yeah.
You have so many more components, so many more moving parts, and so many more people involved.
Oh, for sure.
One just squeaky wheel, man, it could ruin a very expensive production.
Yeah, I've always. Oh, go ahead, Trevor. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say because that squeaky wheel, which I've experienced, I have years and years and years of production under my belt, and that squeaky wheel, I always say like this is the start of the snowball effect, and that one person that goes off derails the entire crew, which is really such a hard thing to do to try and keep everyone happy and motivated and on the same page. And usually it's an environment that's friendly, that's happy, that's very familial, and that's why it's such an important thing. That's why people do work with each other again. That's why people want to surround themselves. Like Adam Sandler, he makes movies with all his buddies. He doesn't work one day in his life because he gets to have fun. He gets to, be in an environment that is fun for him. And, and that's really important, I think, with doing anything you love. Like Bill said, with music, it's so intimate because you have, so many people under that, but it being, under like probably a dozen for creating a record or a song or anything. But when it's film, you can have up to hundreds of people, under the same, couple of people leadership. Like, so it becomes kind of hard to really gauge the control on that.
Yeah, definitely. And the thing we're excited about with having you on here, Trevor, is, we plan on, this is audio only right now with some visuals on YouTube, but we're going to develop this into, a live show and in a studio where we can have the video component and also just things with American Warrior that I'd like to get Trevor more involved with when we start, doing more with live video with our events and our other things, like when we go to the baseball and football games and the firing ranges or the fitness, the boot camp workouts on the beach, and a lot of different things, where we want to start filming things with our sponsors and associates and veteran stories. I mean, there's so many things that we are going to be building together, and we needed a guy with video that was going to want to get in the trenches with us and build with us. And Trevor's just always there to lend a hand and, help us out here. And we feel really confident with letting him take the lead there with our video.
Hey, the pleasure's all mine. I mean, like I've told you from the beginning, I've always believed in your mission statement. And I believe in your mission statement as Dan, as Dan Clor. Like, I believe in you as a mission statement. And I
Thanks,
believe
man.
what you've done is you've taken something that's not just one medium, you've made it a lifestyle. You've made it so it's very easy to be a part of, to join, to be, there's no, there's nothing that, it's all inclusive, which is such
Absolutely.
a beautiful thing. And I love that it really puts this, and you're such a sweet, humble guy as a human being. And then you brought that to what you've done with everything with American Warrior. Like, you've brought this piece of yourself, because I think this is just a big piece of your heart that you're kind of offering to the world and sharing with everyone. And to not be a part of that, I would wake up every day gloomy. You know what I mean? Like, to be
Thanks,
a part of
man.
that, it's
Thanks.
not only inspiring, but it's also like you feel like this is where you're supposed to be. This is, you feel very present in the group and community, and that really resonates so much to me because it's all done throughout love and care. And that's why whenever you asked me to be a part of it, I said, Dan, I'll absolutely be a part of it. I love you as a human being. I would have done it regardless, but I'm proud to be a part of it because of how much love and care that you really put into this. And it's inspiring.
Thank you, man. I mean, I really appreciate that, because when we really think about it, I was like, the two things, like, personally, that have always been my, the lifeblood of my existence, I say, is, the music in the military are the two things that have always kind of been my foundation as far as, trade and just kind of identity of who I am there. I mean, obviously just trying to be the best person we all can be, right? And there's obviously that. But to be able to find something to marry those two things together with the most important thing, helping people, it's like, really, I want it, if I can do two things in this life, have fun, help people. And I really don't see what else there. I mean, that's really the foundation for me. And I hope other people can maybe find some inspiration in that,
Well, because you're doing it with just, to me, like, there's such care with the whole, like, the way you've done everything, you've designed everything, the way that you've moved forward, and the way that you've kicked people to be, a part of you and part of, what you're doing for everybody has been so special to see, because it's all been like you said, with fun in mind, but also in the sense of helping, because there needs to be more of that, especially now. Like, helping is just such a beautiful word. It's such a company or a brand or anything that can offer help in a sense of, a place to be is so important these days. And to actually have, you spearheading everything with your natural, goodness of you is just what's going to make it become, a really special thing. I think that once anyone is a part of, they're going to stay and be a part of it for the rest of their lives. It's really the tradition of the brotherhood, continuing, like the sense of, another home for it, which is really kind of beautiful.
And that's such an important thing, man. And for example, like, we were talking with one of our San Antonio veteran buddies who feeds homeless veterans, but then he brought up something as well where he said, not only veterans that got out honorably and everything, but maybe veterans that had a bad break or something happened in the military, which obviously I can relate to, having to fix my career, where the VA can't take care of them at all, and he still helps them. And not just that, he's there to help any human being that he can put his mission out to. And that's another thing too, where we want to kind of blend and break down the difference between, veteran, military, and civilian. Bring in the community. Let the world be more of this veteran family. Learn more about it, because most families and most people know or have someone that served, and kind of bring them into the fold a little bit more and let them understand this world as much as they can from that view.
And it's funny you said that, because even just since knowing you, because I have family members that, were present in the military, and then I have family members that are active in serving in the military right now. And it's kind of like there is this special bit that I get to see into their lives through you, through what you're doing, to kind of get this whole new recognition that I didn't know. It's a behind the scenes, kind of like a nice introduction to, like you said, civilian, people that are a part of what you're doing get to understand that better. And it really is a nice thing to kind of have a nice little bridge done the way you've done it.
Yeah, thank you, man. And really, at the end of the day, we want this company to be a unifier. We have people come in. We have so many different walks of life come into our shows and our organization, and a lot of times people will come up to us and try to ask interject a political thing, and we're like, really, do you love a good time? Do you love good music? Do you love helping and supporting veterans? Well, then this is your home. It doesn't matter where you come from, it's really come here and join the party and help people have a good time. And that's really what we like to do. And as far as having a good time, now a few things, this was a perfect segue to get into what kind of drinks we're into here tonight and just what we usually like. But I wrote some notes that I have to touch on with the video. I would just really regret it if I didn't. Bill, I love your Freddie Mercury impersonation as a drummer. Remember when Freddie wasn't he vacuuming in drag?
That kind of had part of, that was one of small inspiration to that, is because this is being the beautiful disaster. And I'm not trying to cut you off here, but originally Bill was going to just have his band play. And then at one point we're just like, well, why doesn't Bill just play everything? Because everyone was dropping out. They couldn't make the schedule. So we're like, why don't Bill just play everybody? And we'll just do it that way. And we'll make characters out of them in the office.
I love it.
So that was like a 2-night before we were shooting thing, which we also got Bill to shave his glorious beard off. And so there was a beardless Bill for about, 3 weeks, 4 weeks before it kind of really got.
Yeah, it took about 3 weeks.
Yeah. That's dedication. I watched him. I had to go into the bathroom to watch him cut it, just because I could see like the tears in his eyes.
The angst.
The angst of having to shave that beard off. You've never seen somebody, although when you got the mustache, because we have a mustache character, I feel like Bill kind of owned it, where like it was like he still had a piece of him there, like, and he knew that.
the last piece that he could hang on to.
It was a security blanket of like facial hair, is what it was. It was like that little like, I'm okay, I'm still here kind of thing.
Yeah, I still was able to hide part of my face.
And so the drummer was the one that reminded me of, was the one when he was in drag, right? The Freddie Mercury lookalike.
Yeah, the
I don't know if that's the right classification. You were dressed as like someone's aunt that was a librarian.
Yeah, it was supposed to be the Tresla was the one who put the outfit together. It was Bob's Burgers. Linda.
Oh, nice.
It was a mixture of Linda and Tina. Because that was like, yeah,
I don't know the show super well.
Of Linda and Tina, which is the perfect thing, because all the stuff that we went for, because like we're like, well, we kind of want him to look like Dave Foley as boss, and then he's posted the picture online, and people are like, oh, look, this is an old picture of Dave Foley. It's like, oh no, it's just Bill. Just like when I went and picked out the hair, I had the Tom Cruise hair from Risky Business as the guy who's kind of the jerk in the office.
The office douche was the character name.
Office douche. What about now? It's a tough one between the drummer, but I think the one that wins out is the character. I think it's the character said, "Hey, Bill, let's talk about your numbers, maybe."
That's the boss, the mustache. That's the mustache guy
with the curly wig. Was that the same guy?
Oh no, you're talking about the sensitive guy. That's called sensitive guy.
Oh, the
We
sensitive.
got really,
Okay, that's my favorite.
really
then.
into our character names.
Wait.
Yeah, sensitive guy.
The one with the curly hair and the brown suit. Was it a brown suit?
It was a horrible
a
pair of corduroy
sweater vest.
pants
Oh,
and a sweater vest that me and Bill the night before went to like 3 Goodwills, and we went to. It's funny because we went to like one of the trendy like
Thrift
trendy
stores.
vintage stores, and then so the sweater vest we were like we got to find a good sweater vest because it's just going to be perfect, and we couldn't find one. The only one we found was like $60. And I'm like, man, I'm gonna pay $60 for this horrible sweater vest.
that's
And
tough
it's
to
kind of a
swallow,
good thing
right?
we did.
Oh,
Yeah, because we never found one again because we went to 2 other Goodwills and mostly just got lucky with ties and like a few, like even the shirt Bill's wearing for the majority of the video is just one of my shirts from my closet because we couldn't even find one to buy.
Yeah.
We went on I think some real slim picking days of the Goodwills.
Well, it was during
So
the
we-
holidays, man. Everybody was cheaping out and going to the Goodwills.
now we got to see. I'm pretty sure we should be able to play that video on the YouTube version. I mean, producer Don, he's probably going to try to chime in and hit the wrong button or something, but if he's still listening. Oh, there he is.
It'll be linked to the bottom in the show notes, you bastards.
Okay. All right.
Long as
We
it's
can't.
there.
You don't want to fucking play the video over your podcast.
No.
That-
Oh yeah, right.
Well,
Well,
no,
see,
yeah, well,
that's why you get
for-
the big
for
bucks.
Maybe a commentary.
Yeah, that's why I got paid the big butts, which are like 0. So um, I'm just over here being the slave over here because the
Oh,
boss man over here cracks the whip on me.
The red man's oppression.
Exactly. The white devil holding down the red man for yet again. That's why you all haven't heard from me.
That's it.
He
Then it becomes
threat-
the Native,
he
the
threatened-
Native American Warrior Festival.
oh yeah, that's what Don's
He threatened my
pining for.
family if I said anything.
That's Don's
He's-
master plan.
He's playing the long game and
Exactly.
he knows it.
Exactly. I'm secretly like
He's a ghost agent.
I'm getting all the passwords and stuff slowly, making the transition. But no, for everybody listening on the audio, if you guys are listening to this on Spotify or iTunes, Google Podcast, any of those audio platforms, the link to the videos and all the stuff that you guys are talking about will be in the show notes. If you're watching this on YouTube, the link to Bill's video will be down in the description.
And I tell you what, Don Pena, producer Don, is doing an amazing job, ladies and gentlemen. And we're going to feature him as well, doing awesome. Staying up late after driving a truck all day. Of course, when he stays up late, he's got the next day off, so none of those trucker situations. Don, we can edit this out if we need to. But no, he's working hard, and we appreciate him.
It's good. They threatened me. Don't believe this bullshit. They threatened me.
Take a compliment, you asshole, and then hit mute again.
I know.
Dan's texting Dawn right now all his hate notes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Awesome. So I guess we'll finish in perfect fashion here. What are some of our favorite drinks here, fellas? What do we have tonight, and what do we usually got here?
I mean, for me, I'm a whiskey and IPA guy. My go-to IPA typically is Lagunitas. One, because I like it. 2, the way I got introduced to Lagunitas was they actually released limited edition Frank Zappa beers.
Nice.
It all comes
And
back to Zappa for Bill.
yeah, they were releasing a beer for each on the anniversary of each Zappa album, and I was like, these guys have to be cool. But I mean, I like a lot of I like a lot of IPAs. Ballast Point, Angel City. And then I'm a whiskey man. And during quarantine, I've pretty much exclusively been drinking Evan Williams, the Heroes edition.
Nice.
Which is actually money does actually go to veterans from buying this bottle, and it's $16.99 for a handle, and it's good stuff.
See,
So
I love me some Evan William.
yeah, man.
How do you say it?
Evan Wilhelm.
Evan Wilhelm. Yeah,
Yeah.
William Scott III would definitely be drinking Evan William.
Oh,
yeah. And the funny thing is, though, is I'm so used to the packaging, which is like black and white. It looks kind of similar to Jack Daniels. And with the Heroes edition, it's a whole red, white, and blue packaging.
Yeah, no, I have a bottle of vodka that did the same thing.
So when I went into Rite Aid to go get this whiskey one day, I was like, oh my God, they're out. And I was scouring, and literally there was like 50 bottles in front of me. And I just didn't realize that they changed it.
Yeah,
It's so funny how we drone in on stuff like that, where you just like, not what it normally is. So I can't figure it out.
But especially during the pandemic, I don't want to be in there longer than I have to be. So I literally, like, I just, run right over to where the liquor is, and then I run right to the register. I get my smokes, and I get the hell out of there, right? So when I get to the liquor aisle and I can't see it, I'm like, no, I don't want to be in here. Where is it?
Yeah.
Do you?
I feel that.
What's that? What's that one? I don't know. They still make Old Granddad. What is that?
They do. I'm not going to go support that one in a pinch.
I was going to say, but maybe if you got to get out of that store quick, Bill, you're going to grab whatever you get, or you're not going to go that far.
I think it's like the rule is like if it's a plastic bottle, just don't do it at all.
Yeah, you know what?
Yeah.
That's a good indicator. Even though I did have some Captain Morgan rum out of a plastic bottle.
Really?
Yeah, it's weird how it came that way. But I mean, usually the Captain Morgan's in the bottle. So
sure.
Yeah, that was strange, huh?
It's like a ballpark edition, like where you can't have like metal or glass. Like
there you go.
We're just
brother.
gonna put it in plastic. Yeah.
It's this pirate is gonna get rowdy type of handle,
Yeah, this is bar fight Captain Morgan.
Yeah, I wouldn't know anything about that, of course, but so yeah, Trevor, how about you, man?
Well, right now I got Coors Light Silver Bullet with a big boy, a tall boy, and but it's funny because the beer I like is the beer that like everyone kind of like hates on, like where it's like Bud Light, Miller Light. Like I'm like, the crappier the beer, probably the better it's gonna taste for me. I think I have like really like low grade taste buds.
He likes dad beer, is what we call it.
I like dad beer. I feel like dad beer is like the lawn beer, the 4th of July, which is right now, like it's that perfect summer feeling. Like I crack open a beer and I'm like, oh, I'm kind of like in summer right now. It's like that pause button on life just kind of goes, oh, you're drinking a beer. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, there you go. It's the old commercials too, right? Like as kids watching football, remember Miller High Life. Oh, now I got to go fix a sink.
Yeah.
I can't have that beer till I mow the lawn or fix a sink or put a deck in the back.
It's one of those things where it's like that little treat method. Like last night I was cooking dinner and I was like, you know what? You're cooking dinner. You have a beer with that. You know what I mean? Like kind of thing, like I'm doing this right kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
And you kind of like
I always looked at Miller as like, I beat my wife real good and now I can have a beer.
Oh man, doing Miller dirty, Bill.
Miller's delicious. Miller's
I like it too.
I drink the champagne of beer, so I'm not hating.
High Life is like I'll tell you what, High Life is like if you buy a 6-pack, you drink 3 of them, you're kind of like, I don't know how much I like High Life anymore kind of thing.
That is
and
true.
Then the next time you have it like 2 years later, you're like, this is my favorite beer.
Trevor, that's exactly the same way I feel about that beer, man.
Oh, dude, it's like you can only have like 3 or 4 and that's it.
You get 3 or 4 in, you're like, oh man, what else is in there?
Ryan Oakes. If you're Ryan Oakes, you've upgraded from Natural Light.
Ryan's a whole different animal. That's oh man,
that's Kirkland beers and stuff like that. Like there's some low budget beer. I'll tell you, there's some definite low budget beer.
You know what, man? More with beer than whiskey and stuff. I can go really bottom shelf to the high shelf with beer. I mean, I can do anything really from your basic domestic.
Yeah.
I like PBRs too. Whatever Miller.
Yeah, Dan will have himself a Genesee.
No,
I'll have a Genesee. Yeah, Genesee Brewery, absolutely.
Dan, I don't know if you remember this, but me and you had a beer tour one night at Bill's house as he passed out on the couch, and we bought like 12 beers each, like different IPAs, different brands, different beers, and me and you were like devoted to like tasting each one. Oh, yeah. It lasted until like 4:00 in the morning.
Oh, we were committed. Absolutely. We don't
committed.
We don't do things half-assed. We go all the way in. Yeah, with beers, it's really. I mean, I'm with Bill too. I'm, an IPA guy mostly. You know, I love the old Green Flash one. I mean,
Green Flash,
Pliny the
right.
Elder, of course. But you know, Lagunitas as well. Ballast Point.
Does anything sound better than like just
Oh man, dude, right on cue. Look at it.
like does
man.
anything
I-
sound better than that?
I got Lagunitas Little Something IPA in cans yesterday.
Okay, yeah, they do make Lagunitas in cans now. I saw that.
Yeah.
Trevor,
and all my Angel
your
Cities
timing
come in
is
cans
uncanny,
now.
my friend. Uncanny timing right there. Great.
Perfect timing for that. And I knew that it was like, let's get this right, because that sound, when you hear it, it's like a little like beacon of hope. It's like, oh, the alarm went off. There's a beer around here somewhere.
Yeah,
I swear, I swear, I can hear people in my apartment building, like where it's like they crack open a beer like 3 doors over, and I like peek in the hallway, like, are they gonna invite me? Is it okay? Like, is it beer time?
you just saved Don a few minutes from finding that sound too on the interweb somewhere to interject that in there.
Little Foley work.
Yep. So, you know, I'm definitely a whiskey guy too.
I've turned into a tequila guy. I was a whiskey bourbon guy, but like throughout this whole thing, being home so much, I think I was like, I'm gonna up the ante and crazy.
There you
As if
go.
my life
And
isn't
going
crazy enough.
loco.
So I'm just like, let's go.
He's gonna go the Quattro.
He's gonna.
I went the Quattro. Oh, dude, I pour like don't do doubles. I do the Quattro when I do the pour, which also, Bill, kind of like a good little name for the kid, because I'm pouring Quattros over here, not doubles. I'm pouring
Bill,
pouring
right.
the Quattros.
Bill, we're already dedicating drinks to your son, so I think you're going to need to, you know, get busy on that. Don't
Look, you can find one in Ohio somewhere, but it wasn't me.
Oh man, I love it. So, you know, I guess we have a lot in common. Me and Bill have more in common than just being bald guitar players in Weapon X. You know, it's our drink choices and many other things. So,
Although that is a very specific group. Like, you guys could start a whole little like subculture group of bald guys who play guitar in Weapon X.
oh yeah,
Right.
oh man, yeah. I tell you what, we're powered by baldness, man.
Well,
And,
when we had James D on the drums, we were getting pretty damn close.
yeah, we were almost there. We had 3 out of 4.
That's true. I didn't even think of that. But that's pretty. Yeah, that was a specific thing there.
Oh yeah, yeah. We had
Giving us
a
our hairy people like a chance not to join Weapon X.
yeah. You know, you got hair, you got a strike against you, but we'll you know, you come in strong enough, we'll let you in. There's been some glorious locks that have also
I was gonna say,
graced our stages.
Chooch has a good head of hair, man.
Yeah. Dave does too, and
Yeah.
I mean Karthik. Oh, dude, Marco's like us.
Right, Marco. Yeah, it was three bald white guys and an Indian man with a great head of hair.
Yeah, Weapon X is like the ultimate melting pot, man. It's like how many different folks from around in different ethnicities can we fit in this band? And it's
Well,
just
that's It should be the hope, like, because I always like think if I was in a band, like, because I'm not in a band. I had a band in high school that we were really bad. Although, believe it or not, we won second place in Battle of the Bands. And I have no idea how that happened.
nice.
I have no idea how that happened. But
Their popularity contest, your singer was
kinda-
sucking someone's dick.
sure, but you kind of want to have a band like that's like bigger than the band itself, that goes on and transcends time. Like Kiss will never really like not be Kiss. Like, I bet there'll be members jumping in, like, in, you know, kind of carrying on. Like, you kind of want that band to always kind of grow. Like, and Weapon X could be a band that just goes on to the end of time. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
just alternate it, bring in new people get shuffled out, old people come in and fill in. Like, could always be there.
That's kind of like what's going on now. We have a Dropbox with Weapon X members. I mean, obviously, like, you know, me and Bill, the most tenured guys, and Bill being with us this long. But we you know, we got the monster out there in New York, Josh on guitar as well, coming in and bringing the youthful energy there. We got, you know, 2 amazing drummers right now currently on the roster. One in New York City, Charlie. Charlie's a beast. And then we got Marco in LA. You know, Karthik on bass is becoming a regular. He's been a regular guy with us now, and he'll be staying with us. So yeah, it's cool. And then, you know, we got Ryan still, and
Didn't Adossi, my friend Adossi, know one of he knew?
oh yeah, I think
somebody
you knew
that was in-
Marco.
He knew Marco. He was like,
Yeah.
I was in a band with Marco before, like, kind of thing. Or like he knew, and it was just one of those things where I was like, oh yeah, like the music industry like has so many, you know, close connections. It's just unbelievable.
Well, I was
Right.
gonna say we're all whores, but we're actually sluts because we don't get paid.
Yeah, man, that's a lesson to anyone getting into music, especially independently. You have to have that passion above all. If you don't have that love of doing it, I mean, there's a lot of other things you could be doing. They're going to pay you better.
My music producer Greg said it the best. He goes, "If you can do anything else, do it." He goes, "You have to love this so much, and that there is no other option for you.
Yeah,
Because if you can do anything else, do it."
Yeah, right.
But going back to what I was going to say, and I wanted to say it earlier, one thing that I thought was really cool is that show in Santa Ana that I went to with Bill. Is there was a younger boy? I think was he like 16 now, and he was actually one of your students, and then he was also one of Bill's students.
Oh yeah,
Tristan.
yeah,
Tristan. He's in
yeah.
college.
Yeah, he's in college, but he was incredible. But you guys had like taught him since he was a young kid, like.
Well, Dan did. I only taught him like maybe twice,
he was
2 or 3 times.
One of the bands playing at the show, which was really kind of a cool thing, where it was like, it went from every kind of music and every kind of age group, and it was just completely an open show. There's a little bit of something for everybody.
Yeah, that's the thing with American Warrior. It's kind of almost like early Rick Rubin philosophy, where
Right.
People at first they're trying to wrap their head around it. Like, I've seen a jazz band right after a metal band at your show, and like, what are you guys doing with this, with the genres? And I said, well, we're multi-genre. We really like to just have music in general that moves us. But I said there is a brand that goes along with it. If it's country, it's going to be like your Johnny Cash, your Hank 3. If it's rap, it's going to be kind of like your Wu-Tangs and Public Enemies. The stuff that's really kind of edgy, hard, gritty, ugly, like rebellious.
Yeah.
Where, I mean, how much difference is there between Johnny Cash and Phil Anselmo, or just that's not the best comparison, but just the delivery. A guy like Chuck D, the way he puts it hard into the mic, it's just an attitude. It doesn't matter what kind of music you're into. Yeah, it's the delivery. It's the. I told it. There was
that's
this.
what I loved is it was so authentic because it was that attitude, and it was it's important to have that stuff out there like that. But continue. I'm sorry.
Right. Oh no. That's great interjection there, man. Because I know I was walking down Venice Beach one time, and a rapper came up, selling some of his CDs, and I've always admired that hustle of going out there and doing that. It's pretty amazing. But he goes, check this out, and I said, well, before I listen to it, or before I buy it or whatever, I want to check it out. So I put the headphones on, and I listened to it, and I said, man, I tell you what, I said, I'm a concrete and graffiti guy, not a rims and bling guy, and I said, this is what you do it well. I'm just saying, like, I just have to be honest with the art of it. I wasn't going to bullshit the guy. I said, I like the concrete and graffiti, the character, the toughness, the authenticity. I'm not big on the material things, the fancy rims, the champagne glasses. I mean, of course, I love a good party, but that's not what gets me moving with music, is material things.
No, I'm the same way. I mean, and that was part of the whole point of Wasted. The idea was, I want the every person's party song, not the this is my Bentley and this is my Rolex, and
Right.
Rap at one point was hip hop at one point was revolutionary, and now to me it's like you're a walking advertisement for stuff that most people will never have and don't need.
Right. And it's like, I feel you have an opportunity to connect to people so much deeper. And now, like you said, each to their own, what they do with their art and what motivates them. But
yeah, you could be Poison, or you could be Guns N' Roses.
Yeah,
you can be Drake, or you could be Public Enemy. I know which one I would pick.
Exactly, and that's what I teach everyone when they come in to this company. They first start spitballing. Oh, we're multi-genre. We're everything to everybody at every time. I'm like, oh no. Let's start talking. Pick a genre. I'll give you 5-10 artists from it. oh, I'm starting to get it, and we teach them that. And that's something where, there's Rick Rubin. He produced Slayer, then he produced Beastie Boys and Public Enemy. And, the early days of that is a big philosophy behind what we do with our bands. So, I tell you what, gents, this was an amazing conversation. I've had an awesome time. And doing this with your friends, I think we could do this for another 3 hours. So
Probably.
Easily,
as long as we had the drinks going, right?
Well, I mean, I still got them going. I don't know what you guys are doing.
I'm still. I just cracked open that beer. I don't know if you heard it.
That's true.
earlier.
That's true. He cracked open a beer and provided Foley for you.
Yeah, exactly. It was amazing. So I tell you what, you guys, not only are Bill and Trevor just great friends of ours, they are part of our podcast team right now, which consists of, myself, Don, Bill, and Trevor. I mean, and we're going to grow that. But so you're going to be hearing from them and seeing things from them over the years. So, and you'll see Bill and I with Weapon X and multiple other things. So, yeah, really enjoyed having you guys on, man. And I hope you guys, make the best of your 4th of July tomorrow.
You as well.
And, have a good day and enjoy it. And, yeah, so we'll be talking to you guys soon. So anything you guys want to say on the way out here?
I just say happy 4th of July, everybody. Be safe. Don't get sick. But maybe, if you're not a vegetarian, have yourself a burger, a dog, and some brew.
Keep the spirit alive, right?
I'm with Phil on that. And thanks everybody for listening and hearing every minute of this is important. I think Dan's such a great guy, and Dawn's such a great guy that this is something that's truly special, and it means a lot to me, and it's really close, near and dear to my heart.
Thank you. Thanks, Trey. I appreciate you, gentlemen.
Before you guys go, if you guys want to take a minute to let everybody know again, I know you did it earlier, but let everybody know where they can find you, Facebook, your websites, whatever it is. If you guys want to shout out some things, go ahead and do that. And also, even though you're saying Happy 4th of July to everybody, by the time you guys listen to this, it's going to be a week after 4th of July. Yeah. So happy late 4th of July.
Right.
Because this is episode 3. Good we're actually recording this 4th of July night, or Eve, I guess, for me. Yeah. But by the time you guys hear this, it'll be
Uncle
a week
Sam's got to leave some money under your pillow.
Right, exactly. Well, yeah, go ahead and shout out your websites, your social medias, whatever you guys want the people to find you at.
Okay, cool. You can find me for my new project. It's billscottband.com. If you need to find me related to playing guitar or producing and engineering, it's just billscottguitar.com.
And Trevor,
And for me, if you can find Trevor Nystrom, pretty much all my handles are Trevor Nystrom, at Trevor Nystrom. It's all Trevor Nystrom. So I'm the easiest person in the world to find, but you might not want to find me.
That's awesome. And you guys will also have heard or be hearing some of Bill's music here on this episode. So,
I'll send stuff over to you.
Awesome. So I tell you what, gents, the pleasure was all mine here tonight. And, we're going to sign off. We want to thank Bill Scott and Trevor Nystrom for coming on. And you guys have a great one, and we'll be seeing you soon.
Sounds good, brother. Take care.
Thank you.
Right, take care.
Here is Bill Scott with I Wanna Get Wasted.
Life is shit, let's get wasted. Life is shit, let's get wasted. Life is shit, let's get wasted. Life is shit, let's get wasted. Wasted. Life's a piece of shit, and I can't take it. If you're happy or sad, or drinking bad, so grab your glass and raise it. Smack your neighbor's ass and strip them naked. You don't have to think, just take a drink and we'll all get wasted. My money's running low, I can't afford no yayo or to click on the link for a $50 Craigslist. Oh no. Since I got no money, I can't afford no honey. I'm getting frisky with my bottle of cheap ass whiskey. I wanna get wasted, wasted. Life's a piece of shit and I can't take it. If you're happy and sad, a drink can be bad. So grab your glass and raise it. Smack your neighbor's ass and strip them naked. You don't have to think, just take a drink and we'll all get wasted. It's a party, let's go. Don't forget the no snow and we'll get on a drink and hit on some sexy hoes. Then we'll pound down 40s, take home them shorties. We'll get them wasted and fucking butt-ass naked. I wanna get wasted, wasted. Life's a piece of shit and I can't take it. If you're happy and sad, a drink can be bad. So grab your glass and raise it. Smack your neighbor's ass and strip them naked. You don't have to think, just take a drink and we'll all get wasted. Life is shit, let's 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 get wasted. We're the 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 shit. I wanna get wasted, wasted. Life's a piece of shit and I can't take it. If you're happy and sad, a drink can be bad. So grab your glass and raise it. Smack your neighbor's ass and strip them naked. You don't have to think, just take a drink and we'll all get wasted.
As always, thank you for joining us. This was episode 4 of the American Warrior Festival podcast. Be sure to join us next week for our very first music episode, where we will feature American Warrior bands from throughout the country. Take care, friends.
The American Warrior Festival podcast is brought to you by the Red Osier Landmark Restaurant, Oliver's Candies, Smokin' Eagle Barbecue and Brew, The Firing Pin, Orcon Industries, Ken Barrett Chevrolet Cadillac, TF Browns, One LLP, Batavia Legal Printing, Gun Track App, and AmeriHome Healthcare.